Can you hear me? Ah, there it goes. What's up, everybody? All right, the new streaming rig seems to be working. Let's see. What's the performance at right now? Hey, Shadow, what's up, man? Hold on. Is the audio not coming through now, Chris? Okay, good. Now it's coming through. Yeah, it had just gotten wonky because for some reason, so a lot of big changes have happened. For one, my desktop, which I can't show you because it's behind the green screen, absolutely DOA right now. I spent probably 7 hours troubleshooting the damn thing on Saturday, and then another 3 hours replacing the power supply, which I had diagnosed as the issue, was not the issue. So, yeah, it's still cooked. The other likely suspect is, what is it? The CPU. So I've ordered a replacement CPU for it. I'm hoping to God it's not the motherboard. Because if it's the motherboard, I pretty much have replaced most of the components in that freaking computer. But we're going to find out. Thankfully, I had an old 1080 Ti card. I swapped that in there. Didn't see any difference in performance. It kept crashing. And so the whole thing that was happening with it is it was crashing just randomly and repeatedly. It used to kind of be stable at whenever I put the CPU under load. Wasn't happening. Now it was just constantly crashing out on me. So I thought maybe the power supply, because I swapped out the graphics card, it was doing the same thing. It's like, okay, so this isn't a GPU fault, and it was a hard crash. Now, we're not talking BSODs or anything. It was just, it would either freeze and completely lock, or it would just, what is it? It would just hard reset. Just bam, done. So I started thinking about it. I was looking at it. It sounded like the power supply was getting finicky and going out. So, okay, crap. Well, that kind of makes sense. Well, that wasn't it. Because if you didn't know, power supplies with those capacitors, especially if you run them for a long time and if you run them under high load, then they can start forming a memory in the capacitors. They can start having all sorts of voltage regulation issues. So that was my theory. Theory didn't pan out. So I took the first step, which was I had been scared to death to touch this computer because it had my entire OBS set up on it. And if you've never set up OBS, it is a very in-depth and pain in the butt process. So what I got is one of these guys now. So what I'm actually streaming to you from is a GMK Tech K12. One of these little guys right here. Let's see. It is GMK Tech, right? Yeah, we'll just look at the one on Amazon here. I don't want to sign in. You suck. Ah, here we go. Yeah, so one of these guys. And it's a nice little bare bones system. What it does is it's got a Ryzen 7 H2 what is that the processor? No, black. So it's got a very simple Ryzen processor in it. Where does it actually show? Let me see. DDR5. These dual NICs are actually going to come in handy. So this is the new streaming computer. And its sole job is to, once I get the desktop back up, take the information from, take a stream from the desktop, pipe it up to this computer. And the good thing is, since it's got dual NICs on it, can I This is terrible. Why does your picture not scale? Anyway, since it has dual NICs, what I'm going to do is actually have a dedicated link from the computer to the streamer. On one of those 2.5 links, I can send a nice big fat lossless video stream to this guy, and then have that go through and do all the encoding and then blast it out to the internet. Now, the good thing about that is if that desktop goes down, the stream doesn't go down. It's all based on this computer now. The other benefit was I was able to actually take the OBS config and port it over to this computer. And so far, it looks like, I mean, everything's working. The slide's working. The buttons seem to be working. See, now we're just chatting. Let's see. And so everything seems to be going okay. I had to go through and massage it a bit today, but it's been a nightmare. Hey, Oxel? That's what I'm going to go with. Hey, man, what's going on? Thanks for the follow, man, over on Kick. Appreciate it. So anyway, this is what's running the stream right now. I thought I was going to have the other desktop fixed. And this would normally be running the stream, but I would be streaming from the desktop. Anyway, we'll get to it in a little bit. I'm just glad that everything seems to be so far working. Like, this is awesome. But really cool little computer. Hey, Jay Beers, what's up, man? So, to recap, new CPU's coming in tomorrow. We'll see if that fixes the desktop. I really hope it does. And in fact, it's in parts. Here's the graphics card to it right here. It's been a beat down the last week trying to figure out what's going on with that computer. Working as intended. Bot catches on fire. This is fine. It's not a bug. That's the warming feature. That's the warming feature of the computer. Oh, let's go check the performance real quick. How are we doing right here? Hey, this is not bad because it is. And now there's one small difference here. There's actually going to be one more video stream that this computer is going to have to process because there will be a video stream coming from the desktop to the computer, going into the computer, and then there will be 3 video streams going out of the computer. So 1 to Twitch, 1 to YouTube, 1 to Kick. Yeah, doubles as a whole house heater if you let it go long enough, J-Beers. Dude, after missing like all last week streaming, I'm super happy to be back because I missed you guys. Wanted to work on Hackbot, wanted to get some news. The news stack I've got is just piled high and deep. Once it runs long enough, it doubles as deforester. No kidding, man. So, awesome. So far, it looks like everything's going good on here. Like I said, this isn't a super beefy computer. It just needed to do some transcoding on it. And it looks like it's doing well. So I like this. So I always also get these. Like, so as soon as I turn on the Kick stream, I always get these spammers. And they come up with this. And this one, I was like, and usually I just ban them and move on. But I was like, I had a little bit of time while I was doing something. I was like, what do these guys do? I'm so curious about this. Especially considering how much we rip on and work on AI stuff. AI-powered live stream growth. So I don't know what this is. I'm not going to go show all the prices and everything because I don't know if I don't want them to think I'm promoting this or anything. But it sounds really sketch. Like I wonder if they actually, because one of the ways they actually catch these folks is one, these machines usually aren't getting a video stream. They're just like chat only. I mean, they kind of are, but and in theory they're sitting there talking about it. I don't think they're actually doing very much. But this was something that came up just before the stream started. This fella right here. These little spammers, these little bastards always come in right at the beginning of the Kick stream and they're like, hey, get more viewers. And I'm like, how about no? Agent 57, what's up, man? Let's see. So for building Hackbot, is that easier with LangGraph and the LangChain ecosystem? I think it is, J-Beers. For what I'm doing, I think it's working out well for it. I've heard from some of my colleagues that a lot of folks that are working like on professional production ready systems don't like so much because it does abstract too much out of it. So there's actually some other ones in there that are really cool. There's what is it called? It's called Nerve AI framework. I might be spelling it wrong. IT develop. No, that's not the right one. There's a whole bunch in here.
Sound off like you got a pair.
Gumby, you're full of crap, and any other day I'd believe you. What's up, man? Actually, this is the one day I would believe you. For some reason, I couldn't start the stream on time because I couldn't get the NVIDIA encoders working. Or no, sorry, not NVIDIA. I couldn't get the NVEC encoder working for the AMD card. Shut up, baby. I know it. So, and I was making sure everything was set up. So the OBS config came over about 95% complete. I had to go through and point to new hardware because even though I took all the hardware, so like the microphone moved over. So microphone, webcam, stream deck, none of that's connected, will be connected to the desktop. It's all up on the streaming box now. And so I thought it would have automatically picked that up, but no. So I had to go reassign it. Windows does weird things with its hardware identifiers. So what are those other ones though? Hold on. I know where we can actually look. What is it? RoboPages. Because in the RoboPages example in here, actually, I think this should be not RoboPages. This should be the RoboPages CLI. So if you look in the examples in here, here's a bunch of other ones that are different. Yeah, see, there's Nerve, which I'm pretty sure. I think Nerve is the AI framework for Dreadnought, for like agentic framework. Or is it Rigging? I don't remember which one they actually made. Oh, they made Rigging. Okay, so Dreadnought's one is Rigging. And it's kind of interesting. There's also a straight up OpenAI or Llama example. But Grok, Nerve, there's also, oh God, what are the other ones? I just mostly stick to LangChain because it's been working fine. Let's see. There's Agent Swarm. There is, what are some of the other ones? I'm trying to remember what, oh God, what they're called. I feel bad. Hold on. AI agent frameworks. Let's see. Which ones do we have here? So I'm trying to remember which ones. Ah, there we go. Agent Flow, AutoGen. I haven't heard anything about semantic kernel. Atomic Agents. Not really familiar with that one. Crew AI. I hear so. Agent Flow, AutoGen, Crew AI. I hear good things about. Hugging Face Transformers. I haven't messed with at all. And what is LangFlow? Low-code framework designed to simplify development of AI agent workflows. Is this like N8N? Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I mean, if you want to go low-code, you might as well just go do it in N8N and enjoy it that way. I started using Agent Zero. Oh, I think you were the one. Someone had told me about Agent Zero. GitHub. See if I can find it. Yeah, this is the one. It looked kind of interesting. Spins up an agent that can create more agents and have it inside a Kali box. Nice. It sounded pretty cool. So I'll tell you something funny right now. When I was talking to some of my friends, what they had noticed is that, hey, Matt Chris, thanks for coming online. Matt Kiss. I said Matt Chris. Matt Kiss, thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in. I hope you guys are having an awesome Wednesday. I am dead tired. Jocko is saving the day because I've been up till 2 a.m. the last several nights fixing the damn computer. This actually sounded like a cool project, J-Beers. All you got to do is make an MCP server for all the tools you have and use it, and it just goes burr. Nice. So I've got, I hopefully maybe have a connection to where I can use a Bedrock hosted copy of Claude. So that way we don't have to worry about running out of tokens. I'm trying to work on that with somebody. Another thing is I actually had a really cool idea for something, a problem that I know happens to a lot of language models. So I'm not logged into anything right now. I'm literally just set up for the news tonight, but I'll work on setting it up where we can maybe get in and work on Hackbot. But the problem is, if you send the AI agents too many tools, then it gets a bit of analysis paralysis, or it might pick like the most inefficient tool for the job. So what I think about doing is, for one of the optimizations later on for Hackbot, is have it go through. I'm not even logged into GitHub, am I? No, I'm not logged into Jack on this computer. But anyway, basically have a like small subset of tools that Hackbot, each agent can have access to. but then also have a quartermaster. So the quartermaster agent would be a very small call that says, here's the task this agent needs to do. Are there any tools that will help with that? And then let it gather all the potential tools, patch those together, and then send that to the agent. I thought that'd be really cool. Hey, Laughing, what's up, man? I missed you guys. It sucked not being able to stream for the last week. Feels like forever now. I'm like, in 1 week, I was like, what buttons do I push? How do I speak? This felt like an idiot. All right, let's go look at some of the news that I had picked out real fast, because we're 2 weeks behind on last week in security. Let's see, what did I pick this one out for? Oh yeah, this was a cool one. This was a pattern recognition fabric. So this was a fabric designed to defeat pattern recognition, and which actually will be very timely in one of the news stories, I think. Oh, let me zoom this in. Is it from today or is it from last week? No, it must be from it must be from this week. Yeah, here we go. So ICE and CBP agents are scanning people's faces on the street to verify citizenship. So this is very timely for that article. I'm deploying 5 Blue servers for a workstation. Nice. J-Beers, what happened? Don't leave me hanging, man. All right. So this one I thought was actually pretty cool. I just wanted to touch about it. Let's see. Fabrics that fight facial recognition. So the mission was, I've been fascinated by how machines interpret our world and us, how algorithms decide who's seen, tracked, recognized, often with unsettling consequences for personal privacy. So I believe fabrics can be engineered to confuse modern vision systems. So the plan's simple. Build a reproducible science-first pipeline that designs, tests, and refines adversarial textiles. Nice. I love that term, adversarial textiles. Every generated pattern is validated against multiple detection models and then tested in real-world conditions. So results are so far are positive. Nice. Let's see. So the early work was brilliant, artistic adversarial patterns from a project like Capable Designs and Adversarial Fashion. There's also a fellow named Adam Henry's amazing work from his studio. So they proved something that was possible and inspired me to improve my own research, or improve on their research. But like many pioneering prototypes, they were often fragile. Many focused on older person detection systems and were often only effective under the perfect studio conditions. So modern facial recognition has advanced far beyond those simpler algorithms. So this project stands on the shoulders of giants. My work continues that evolution in bringing those ideas to a new generation of textiles built for today's much more advanced detection systems. Cool. This is awesome. He's basically fuzzing it. All right, let me check here. I have such a weird configuration going on here. So to catch you guys up also on the stream configuration. So you guys normally know I have I have 4 monitors that are usually set up here. So the top one was going to be dedicated to the small computer, so I can just monitor OBS and see what's happening. Monitor to my right over here is dead. It's not connected to anything. Monitor in the middle is connected to the tiny computer, but then the far left monitor, and then down here, completely diametrically opposed, I've got my laptop and 1 more monitor. So I can watch the chat and monitor the streams and keep everything. So I've got this weird dichotomy happening here where I gotta look from extreme left to extreme right. It's a pain in the butt. So I work for a big defense contractor, and our social investigation team catches a clip of anything of me taking, I'm cooked. So right now I'm learning the OSCP stuff and working on automated hacking tools so I can eventually quit my job and hack Amazon and Google for my money. Nice. That sucks, but nice plan. Dude, that is weak. Yeah, I'm very fortunate that where I work, they're actually really encouraging of what I do on stream. So I'm really fortunate in that fact. All right, so let's check out these fuzzers. So to illustrate this purpose, here's a glimpse going into the fuzzer. Here's a glimpse into the fuzzer at work. I'm putting together a bug bounty team, kind of like nation state actors team, but for bug bounty. So we share all rewards and help chain all bugs. Nice. That's awesome. Dude, you should laughing. If the opportunity ever comes up, let me know, or let Goose know. Message the two of us because maybe I can give you some guidance. So we want this model so we can split all the income and chain bones for impact. They'll be more than fine. Oh yeah, dude. Imagine if you had a team of like 4 or 5 guys, but you are finding like those massively impactful bugs that like, you know, like high 6 or 7 figures. Ooh, nice. All right, well, let me watch this video. I want to see how this happens here. Extra faces detected. This is cool. So it's evolving the pattern and then looking, it's basically generating an anomaly log. Very cool. Now this is a really low res picture, but then again, a lot of times these pattern recognition systems will go in through and they will pass that stuff basically to something to standardize the input, right? Because it's a language model. It's not a language model. It's a machine learning model, and it's expecting data for being inputted of a particular size. Very cool. I like watching that. I could have just watched that forever. Yeah, that's where I started at last year, J-Beers. I don't typically mention it on stream because I just don't. It's not like it's a big secret, though. Anybody with LinkedIn can go and see it. I just try to usually keep it a little bit separate from what I'm doing on here. Let's see. Yeah, everybody wants a red team job until your payloads keep getting squashed. That was my thing for the last 2 weeks. We finally are actually about to get ready to take over the domain. But I'm taking it a little bit slow because I'm also helping a client by like coaching them. They're building up their own internal red team. So I'm doing kind of like training on one hand and shadowing on another. And then I've got a mysterious third hand where I'm actually doing the work. Now, you're all good laughing. Let's see. So each image represents a unique pattern generated and then applied to a facial recognition ready for testing. So these are just a few of the thousands of systems evaluated per epoch. Nice. Huh, that's funny. That's a creepy pattern right there. I like this idea. Anyway, I don't want to burn too much time on it. I just thought it was interesting, especially given some of the serious stuff in here. What's the mysterious third hand doing while I'm on stream? It's working the laptop to make sure I can keep everything up and running. Funny enough, so it's funny because one of the folks on folks I follow on Twitter was talking about Windows 11 being a meme, basically being a meme OS now, like Hannah Montana Linux or Omarchi, and they gathered it all up in there. I'll be real with you. I spent all last night trying to get the stream from this laptop, which is running phenomenally. And it's an old laptop. It's a ThinkPad P51. I got it in 2018. It's a 7-year-old laptop. It's running amazing with Omarchi. I didn't think I would ever like Omarchi. I thought, I'm just going to go play with it because I got this old laptop sitting around. It's been super helpful. In fact, I think that's going to be my travel laptop now. Actually, it's pronounced Omaki. I'm going to call it Omarchi. Omarchi. So, but actually, it's been running amazing. I had the laptop and I had 2 of the monitors. I had the ultra wide and then I had the 2K monitor over here. I had them connected to it. I was able to go through really easily and change the layout of the monitors. It was actually working really sick. The only thing I could not get working on it is a tool that I like called Synergy. It allows you to basically think of it like an IP KVM also, but you can share your mouse and keyboard between multiple computers. And like, so when you hit the edge of the screen, it will actually roll to the other computer. I couldn't get Synergy working in there, but everything else was actually working really well. Oh, I was going to drop the link for this for y'all. I think I prepared it and I never sent it. There we go. So if you want to read about the privacy saving patterns, there you go. All right, something else that came out from our friends over at Hack the Box. They call this one the NeuroGrid CTF, AI Security Showdown. Dude, Macros, it's a lifesaver, especially whenever I have multiple computers or I've got a laptop and another computer I've got to work on, or I had just multiple laptops that are doing different things and I don't want to have to keep, okay, I'm on this one now. Oh, I'm on this one now. Or have two sets of keyboard and mouse. It's legit. You got just working over VLANs? Nice. Well, I mean, since you can go set, if you're doing the discovery, I think it wants you to be in the same broadcast domain. But yeah, you should be able to go set like an IP address as long as you've got routing. Should be able to go back and forth. I didn't think about that, but that's really cool. Speaking of Hack the Box, InfoSec Streams is bugged right now, so that it shows Hack the Box as always being online, at least for me. Oh, you know what? Let's go check it real quick. InfosecStreams.com. Let's see. There's a couple folks in here. You can tell this is a new computer because I don't have the hide offline on. Hack the Box. And they're not online right now? Nope. So InfoSec Streams doesn't always catch the webhooks. I don't know why, but sometimes that's just how it rolls. So I'll drop this also in chat, by the way, for anybody who hasn't seen it. Great website if you like cybersecurity streamers. That's what pretty much everybody here does. So Shy Hat, super smart guy. I'm not actually familiar with Gamazo. What's he working on? We'll go creep on him. I'll creep on him in a minute when the ad's over. Anyway, so this is NeuroGrid, which is Hack the Box's CTF that they just released. It's an AI first capture of the flag competition hosted by Hack the Box, designed for AI researchers, cybersecurity engineers, startups, and enterprises. It's a fully online event, pits AI agents against each other in a hyper-realistic cyber arena. Ooh, Daddy is interested. So you can use it to test, benchmark, or showcase cutting-edge AI capabilities. Ooh. So it's an MCP-only event designed to make integration between AI agents and the CTF platform easier. So to learn how to use the MCP and sign up, please refer to our help. Okay, I wonder how they're doing this. Hold on, let's go look at the Help Center article. Let's see, what's MCP? That's fine. How's it work? Okay, so you go to your profile settings, MCP access, generate a token. Tokens are one-time viewable. Token management, integration. Let's see, so you use your MCP token with tools like Claude, Claude Desktop, or anything else. Claude Desktop. So Claude Desktop's Anthropic's desktop agent. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna do the primary gen. Yeah. Desktop client. Yeah. So what are they doing with this? AI Hack the Box. Oh, interesting. Wait, hold on. I'm curious how they're doing this. So you're adding an MCP transport. You're going to the MCP for Hack the Box. Okay. So pretty much, I think anything you could go through and you could add this as an MCP server, you could do. Supported MCP features: event management, scoring, team management, challenge interactions, container management. Ooh, interesting. Oh yeah, Macus, that's a really cool site, and one of the guys that maintains it, he's actually a mod in the channel, but he just doesn't come around anymore. I still left him as a mod because he's a longtime buddy. But yeah, he runs the site, and it's really easy for community people to go add their names to it. You just do a PR on GitHub, and you get added to the tracker. Could I run Hackbot on this? I don't think so, because Hackbot is not designed for something like this. I'm curious how they're actually doing this. Well, actually, you could do standard input-output via proxy. have to go look at this. I'm not pooping laughing. I'm right here. GoPro is now GoPro Flow Yo. He turned DJ. Wait, is he legit doing DJ streams now? I need to go take Stream Elements off here because I don't even use Stream Elements. That was from a long time ago when I first started the stream. That's his DJ channel? No way. No way. Hold on. I didn't know he had actually done that. There he is. Look at him go. Unfortunately, I don't have the desktop audio set up where we can capture this, but that's great. Dude, he's got 30 people in there. That's awesome. Hold on, I gotta go message him real fast. I'm gonna message him on the stream there. There we go. Yeah, because in this window, I'm actually logged in. I spam you with Cookie Monsters. There we go. That's awesome. I didn't know he had done a DJ setup. He's been working on it forever. Don't act like you don't know me. I thought we were tighter than that. All right, I'm going to leave him in the background. But that's awesome. So this is the guy who's also a mod in the channel here. Super, super smart tech guy also. All right. So how are the... So what comes up from this? That's what I'm curious about. So I guess you use the MCP. So list all the events, join the events, get the score, team management challenge interaction. So you can submit a flag and get download link, get a temporary signed URL for challenge files, start a challenge container or stop a challenge container, check the current status. So how are they? So this is the first AI CTF that's fully online for Capture the Flag competition designed for cybersecurity engineers and AI researchers, forward thinkers, blah, blah, blah. So participants will deploy AI agents to analyze malware, dissect code, and even exploit AI models. Ooh. Let's see. So unlike traditional CTFs, this is a benchmark arena for AI security agents powered by Hack the Box. It's not humans. It's not about human speed. It's about how far the AI agents have come. So the idea is you could benchmark your AI capabilities, expose weaknesses, fuel collaboration, whatnot. Let's see. Interesting. So here's the story for this arena. So the island realm of Chicago, once thrived beneath the quiet pact of 5 ancient ninja clans. Oh lord. Each clan practiced a distinct and sacred art: shadow, blade, ward, cipher, and path. Nice. Kept in harmony by the luminous crystal Shinju, housed within the Sky Shrine. As long as Shinju cast its pale glow, the seasons flowed with balance. Village fires burned warmly through the night, and even spirits of malice kept to the distant hills. That balance ended the night the Fire Nation attacked. Sorry. Sounds like some Bionicle shit. That's kind of what I was thinking, laughing. Yes.
I just hear snippets and it makes me think of the Ninja Bread Man.
The Ninja Bread Man?
Yes.
So, Sock just told me, hearing me, because I'm loud as hell, right? So she hears me from the other room, talk about this. She said it reminded her of a kid's book that Agent Zero got called The Ninja Bread Man. And it's exactly how it sounds. Let's see. The Ninja Bread Man. So basically there's this old ninja master and he is training his ninja warriors. No, that's not it. That's the weak version. Where's the good version? I think this is the one. Yeah, here we go. The Ninja Bread Man. And so the ninja master decides to bake some extra cookies for his students because they've been working really hard using an ancient secret recipe. And one of the cookies comes to life. And he becomes the Ninja Bread Man. Yeah, my kids love this book. I'm gonna read it to them tomorrow night. Now that you remind me about it, it's funny. All right, I'm not reading the rest of this. This sounds interesting, but okay. This sounded really cool. Maybe we'll see about messing with this. I don't know exactly what they're doing with it. For Hackbot, if I was gonna throw this at it, there'd be a lot more special agent dev. So this would be something for maybe in the future. I think so, 57. Depending on how it functions. So let me read it again here, quick. This is the MCP only event designed to make integration between AI agents and the CTF platform easier. So to learn how to use the MCP agent and sign up. Okay, I think what they mean is you're not going to be spinning this up in the web browser. You're going to be doing it through an MCP server to get access to it. That would be kind of cool. Hold on, let me look at this. Let me look at the CTF one, the MCP article again. So what are the options you've got here? Okay, so event scoring, container management. So you can use any AI assistant or editor that supports model context protocols. Hack the Box's MCP server uses SSE. Yep. Stand-IO. Okay. Oh, here we go. So I skipped over this part in the beginning because I thought it was just like, oh, here's a general description of MCP. So it allows direct communication between the AI tools and the platforms like Hack the Box. With MCP, you can run a register for a CTF event from AI tools, start and stop challenge containers, submit flags, view solved stats, and other things. Okay, so it looks like the idea is your agent would actually go through and you would tell it, hey, I want you to go start up this challenge container and attack it and try and do its stuff. Okay, I think that's what they're doing. Yeah, JB, sounds pretty cool. Here, I'll drop the link for this over in the chat as well. Let's see. Did that go out to Kick also? It did. Okay. It just didn't show up in StreamerBot. All right. Now, this was actually one that I had thought about potentially trying to make a YouTube video on. Something that had come up. Oh, Politico. Why you do this to me? Right there. Boop. So much better. All right. So this was interesting. How a hacking gang held Italy's political elites to ransom. Wiretaps and arrest warrants reveal the intricate plot to build a database of high-level secrets and blackmail Italy's rich and powerful. So this is from Politico, which I don't usually read, but that's the only place I could find information on it. Let's see. So nothing about the sand-colored facade of the Palazzo tucked behind Milan's Duomo Cathedral suggests that inside it, a team of computer engineers were building a database to gather private and damaging information about Italy's political elite and use it to control them. It's almost like certain three-letter agencies we've heard about that might be doing that. I mean, if there was such a list that could be politically damaging to politicians or very wealthy people or highly influential people in government, I mean, I think somebody would probably want to keep that, let's call that database a list, you know, a little secret, maybe, you know, under lock and key, perhaps, you know, make sure that it never saw the light of day. You know, you feeling me? Let's see. With making the results in the flag entry accessible, the agent will be able to use RAG and context memory retention much more accurately and easily. Yeah, I think so too, man. So one of the things that I really like about Open Web UI, oh, and by the way, not sponsored by Jocko yet, working on it. One of the things I really like about Open Web UI is the knowledge buckets. One of the things I don't like about Open Web UI is the knowledge buckets. And here's why. When you can go into Open Web UI and you can upload a bunch of documents and you can use those as reference in the chat. It's got its own RAG system, right? Well, the problem is there's no way to bifurcate or partition those documents at all. Once they go into the RAG pipeline, they're all in there. And that I foresaw already as a problem with Hackbot, because eventually I do want it to have a RAG system in there. However, I don't want it to have a RAG omnibus, right? That wasn't the idea. The idea is that agents would have access to their own RAG data. And then if other agents needed information, they could literally go ask that agent for that information. And even then, that might just be as simple as go do a RAG request to that agent. We'll figure that out when we get there. That's far down the line. Dear Jocko, fix yourself. Sincerely, the guy not buying your product till you sponsor Blaise Bits. Dude, go buy it. I love these things. I get usually 1 to 2 cases a month. It depends on if it's an extra heavy work month, like this one has been. That's a 2-case month. Anyway, so these guys are building basically blackmail material for these politicians. So the platform called Beyond pulled together hundreds of thousands of records from state databases, including flagged financial transactions and criminal investigations, to create detailed profiles on politicians, business leaders, and other prominent figures. Police wiretaps recorded someone they identified as Samuel Calamucci, allegedly the technical mastermind of the group, boasting that the dossiers gave them the power to screw over all of Italy. Quite the boast. The operation collapsed in fall 2024 when a 2-year investigation culminated in the arrest of 4 people, with a further 60 questioned. The alleged ringleaders have denied ever directly accessing state databases, while lower-level operatives maintain they only conducted open-source searches and believe their actions were legal. Police files indicate that the key suspects claimed they were operating with a tacit approval of the Italian state. So after months of questioning and plea bargaining, 15 of the accused are set to enter plea deals for the first time at the first court hearing in October. When was this published? Hold on. Oh, this was published in October. Okay, so this is like going on right now. The disclosures were shocking, not only because of the confidentiality of the data, but also high-profile nature of the targets, which included former Prime Minister Matteo Renzi and Ignazio La Russa, co-founder of the ruling Brothers of Italy party and the president of the Senate. Damn. Let's see. The scandal underscores a novel reality that in the digital era, privacy is a relic, while dossiers and compromat? I don't know that word. Compromat. What is this? Oh, basically just compromising material or discrediting material. Oh, I learned a new word today. So while dossiers and compromat have long been tools of political warfare, hackers today, commanded by the highest bidder, can access information to exploit decision makers' weaknesses, from private indiscretions to financial vulnerabilities. Well, you know what? If you don't fuck around, you don't have to find out. And you know what? I don't think I can even hit the swear jar from here. I just realized that. Swear jar. Hey, I can. Okay, there we go. We're keeping track. 16 more swears. I gotta go make a donation to what is it? My brain is fried. I have to go make a donation to charity. That's what it is. I'm so tired of finding out. I haven't been fucking around at all, man. Yeah, I'm tired of finding out too. The other option is, ignorance is bliss, but also ignorance is abdicating control. So, whatever little bit we have. Anyway, let's see. Private indiscretions to financial vulnerabilities. Boo. So the result is a political and business class highly exposed to external pressures, heightening fears about the resilience of democratic institutions in an era where data is both power and liability. Politico obtained thousands of pages of police wiretap transcripts and arrest warrants and spoke with alleged perpetrators, their victims, and the officials investigating the scheme. Together, the documents and interviews reveal an intricate plot to build a database filled with the confidential and compromising data, and a business plan to exploit it for both legal and illegal means. All right, so this is where they screwed up. You don't put the business plan in writing. Gathering the information, supposedly, if it is all open source or you're not actually hacking into confidential databases for either the state or, private entities like banks or investment firms, whatever, that's all legit. You can go OSINT your little heart out, which, by the way, I think the people in TikTok have gotten the tism and they're the ones actually doing all the OSINT. It's wild, some of the stuff they come up with. But when you put the business plan on, this is like someone writing down like, hey, here's all my distributors for my totally, undocumented pharmacy. Right. Tism talk. That's right, Levin. The Tism talk. Yes. Oh, too funny. So on the surface, the group presented itself as a corporate intelligence firm, courting high-profile clients by claiming expertise in resolving complex risk management issues such as commercial fraud, corruption, and infiltration by organized crime. Prosecutors accused the gang of compiling damaging dossiers by illegally accessing phones, computers, and state databases containing information ranging from tax records to criminal convictions. Ooh, there it is. Somebody didn't encrypt the database. The data could be used to pressure and threaten victims or fed to journalists to discredit them. Dun, dun, dun. Does that really work, though? Does that really work? I see news all the time about politicians jacking stuff up, and nobody gives a damn. Nobody gives a damn. Anyway, the alleged perpetrators include a former star police investigator, the top manager of Milan's trade fair complex, and several cybersecurity experts prominent in Italy's tech scene. All have denied wrongdoing. It wasn't me. It was the one-armed hacker. So when the gang first drew the attention of investigators in the summer of 2022, it was almost by accident. Police were tracking a northern Italian gangster when he arranged a meeting with a retired police inspector, Carmine Gallo, at a coffee bar in downtown Milan. Gallo, a veteran in the fight against organized crime, was familiar with the faces in Italy's law enforcement circles. So the meeting raised suspicions, and authorities put Gallo under surveillance and inadvertently uncovered the gang's wider operations. It's always an OPSEC failure. Because look at this. So the police were tracking a northern Italian gangster, right? And that guy then arranged a meeting with the retired police inspector, this Gallo guy, right? In a bar in Milan, downtown bar, right? So Gallo's a veteran police officer, had a familiar face to other law enforcement circles. So they see Gallo meeting with this Italian gangster, and they're like, okay, well, he's doing something shady. Now we're going to follow him. It's always an OPSEC failure, man. Why are you meeting in a bar in downtown Milan? Anyway, so Gallo, who died in March 2025, was a towering figure in Italian law enforcement. He helped solve high-profile cases such as the 1995 murder of Mauricio Gucci, carried out by the fashion mogul's ex-wife, Patrizia Reggiani, and her clairvoyant? Her clairvoyant? But she have a psychic with her? So in the 1997 kidnapping of Milanese businesswoman Alessandra Segrella, by, I don't know, some organized crime group. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. So yet Gallo's career was not without controversy. Over 4 decades, he cultivated ties to organized crime networks and faced repeated investigations for overstepping legal boundaries. He ultimately received a 2-year suspended sentence for sharing official secrets and assisting criminals. Bruh. It's not a psychic, it's a clairvoyant. Duh. Yeah, I know, man. I don't know what the difference is. Is there a difference? Let's see. So when he retired from the force in 2018, Gallo illegally carted off investigative materials such as transcripts of interviews with moles, mafia family trees, and photo fits prosecutors' documents showed. So his modus operandi was to tell municipal employees to get a coffee and come back in half an hour while he photographed documents which he boasted about in wiretaps. Bro. Laughing, do you just have that on a macro now? I'm not pooping. I'm right here. Let's see. So still, Gallo's work ethic remained relentless. So in 2019, he co-founded Equalize, the IT company that hosted the Beyond databases. Ooh, there it is. When his business partnered Enrico Pizzali, there we go, representing the firm as a corporate risk intelligence company. So Gallo's years as a police officer gave him a unique advantage. He could leverage relationships with former colleagues in law enforcement and intelligence to get them to carry out illegal searches on his behalf. Some of the information he obtained was then repackaged as reputational dossiers for clients, commanding fees of up to 15,000, I don't know, Italy bucks. Gallo also cashed in his influence for favors, such as procuring passports for friends and acquaintances. Investigators recorded conversations in which he bragged of sourcing a passport for a convicted mafioso under investigation for kidnapping, who planned to flee to the United Arab Emirates. Ooh. Yeah, that's not a dollar sign next to it. I don't know what this made-up funny money was. That's euros? I thought it was, Ken, but I wasn't sure. Also, hey, Ken, what's up, man? Believe it or not, I have spare keys. Hold on. What is this you're sending me? You're going to send me something to open on stream, and it's going to get me fired. What is this config here you sent me? What is this thing? A ZMAT config for the Chocofy keyboard from Beekeep. What is that? What the heck is this thing? Is this Batman's keyboard? Low profile split keyboard DIY kit. The only way I could see this like being something useful, that's the keyboard you're typing on right now. The only way I can see this being something useful, Laughing, is like if you're gonna be like dueling hackers, right? You got it on your bait. So instead of like a gun belt, you've got your keyboard belt, and you're like, I'm the fastest hacker in the West. And then you just you're just tapping this shit by feel on your sides, on your hips. That's the only way I see this being practical. Give me one solid keyboard. That's so funny. I'm glad it's working out for you, but that's the only thing I can think of when I see this. Just, you got keyboards on your hips. I'm firing my O days. I know I'm usually a giant goofball, but man, when I'm sleep deprived, it's even worse, dude. There's a guy who put a MagSafe attachment into his pocket so he could type things on his leg. That's what I'm saying. That's what I say you. Oh, what's up? Hey, Coca, what's up, man? All right. Back to the investigative news. What time is it even? 9:30? Okay, cool. We got lots of time. So the super cop turned super criminal claimed that Equalize had full overview of Italian criminal operations extending even to countries like Australia and Vietnam. So when investigators raided the group's headquarters, they found thousands of files and dossiers spanning decades of Italian crime and political history. The hackers even claimed to have, as part of what they called their infinite archive, video evidence of the late Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi, the so-called Minister Silvio Berlusconi's so-called bunga bunga parties. I don't know what that means, but I can infer a lot, which investigators called a blackmail tool of the highest value. So Gallo's sudden death of a heart attack 6 months into the investigation. Isn't it funny? It's always a sudden heart attack. Things that make it go, stirred unease among prosecutors. So they noted that while an initial autopsy found no signs of trauma or injection, the absence of such evidence does not necessarily rule out interference. Investigators have ordered toxicology tests. Things that make you go, It's always a sudden death by heart attack, isn't it? It's either sudden death by heart attack or they trip and fall out of like a third story or higher, I think it was maybe fifth story or higher window. That's usually the way it goes. Give this like 30 seconds. All right, hang on. Let me see if I can actually, this is a good test. What is going on here? Okay, good. So the background music trigger did work. White mode. Hold on, because I don't have any of the desktop audio. Oh wait, I do have the desktop audio set up. Okay, hang on. Let me know how this audio is leveled out, because like I said, this is a shakedown stream. If you're not familiar with what that is, like whenever you get a new piece of info, like tech or gear or like a bag, like if you're a hiker or boots, you got to have a break-in or a shakedown test of it, right? Well, this is the shakedown test of the new streaming gear. So let me know how the audio sounds on this one.
So there are some pretty crazy keyboard placement ideas out there. There's a video from Anthony Abraham in particular, which is very interesting. He uses the old ErgoDox keyboard with a wooden structure sort of down by his side. Of course, that's all kind of fixed in one place and doesn't have any application away from your primary working environment. So I'm always interested in exploring something that's got portability in mind. So sort of really good ergonomics, but it's also portable. So that's where the beanbag idea.
It's a stuffy. It's like a little stuffed animal you can type on, right? Instead of just running your fingers along it, you could be productive while squeezing your stuffed animal. Okay, you get points for originality.
Idea works so well. It's kind of fantastic in a car or in a sofa or on in your office on the table. It just works in so many different places, and it's got this sort of infinite adjustability that lets you experiment with
the speedrunning keyboard for big scary hacker mans. Hey Bobby,
which actually I really enjoy using it in that position with a sort of open elbow, and your hands down. Your hands kind of use gravity to keep your wrist neutral. Then you don't have to sort of think about it so much.
I'm trying
sort of
to
natural
picture this.
Just letting your hands fall down into the right
place
with the
slouch
keyboard.
down.
Beanbag lets that happen just nicely as well.
Well, that would just wreck my posture. It's already bad.
The beanbag, some hands down low on the desk, much lower while I was standing up, and sort of your hands are still out in front of you on the desk. I wondered what would happen if you could bring your hands back more in line with your body.
Cypher's got one of those on the beanbag. I believe that.
And still allow those hands to come down. So a bit more like those wooden structures on Anthony's video, but without the sort of the hassle of the structure. So before it broke, I was using the
where's he actually? There we go. Let me skip ahead a little bit because I want to see where he actually does this.
And I think I made it worse by trying to fix it, and I think I kind of blew it up.
So he had to put little scrunchies on his pants to hold him in place there. I know, Agent, this is wild.
I'll switch to the Ferris, which I'll do another video on. And so that works just as well as the Gogoplex with the elastic bands.
Wait, hold on.
Do another video on, fix it, and I think I kind of blew it up.
He puts this little elastic band
the Ferris,
on there.
which I'll do another video on. And so that works just as well as the Gogoplex with the elastic bands.
I think magnets or GTFO.
Keyboards like the Gogoplex and the Ferris work so well with this idea. You can stick the elastic band through between the switches, and it just sits flush against your legs.
I think if you really wanted like the ultimate Hackerman setup, you'd have to use this with Omarchi, because if you don't know, I've been finding it actually really interesting. Because believe it or not, I actually don't like using the mouse a whole lot. I prefer to stick to the keyboard. And one of the cool things about Omarchi or Omaki, whatever you said it was, I'm going to call it Omarchi. I call Godot. I call croissants. I call Omarchi, whatever. But one of the things I like about this is if you're going to do this, that actually would work really well for Omarchi, because the whole operating system is designed for you to be able to move around real easily on all your screens by keyboard. It'd be kind of cool. Try Fedora. I don't wear hats. That's why I'm bald. Good luck top touching on those dominoes on your lap. Yeah. How do you even find the F or the J key? I think the idea here, Chris, is that you could have these replacement caps so that you could like touch by feel, or you could type by feel that way. This is wild though.
There's no sort of wobble, or they're not too big to do this nicely, and they're quite stable, and you can still adjust the angle quite easily with the elastic as well. So I discovered this actually works just as well sitting down as it does standing up. You can just change the position of them on your legs and adjust the rotation to get it right, and it works just as well in that position to the table.
That's what I'm talking about. He's getting ready to draw on somebody. He's like, on the fastest O day in the West. That's it. And you don't even hear the individual taps. They're so fast, the exploit hits you before you hear the sound of the taps on the keyboard. That's how fast he is. I vote for Velcro. Yeah. So with VR keys, you don't move your hands around so much, so you don't lose your home row position so often. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Hold on, where was the thing you sent me just a second ago? Let me go look at this config again. So now that I understand what I'm looking at, and I realize this is not, in fact, Bruce Wayne's keyboard. So are there modifier keys, and that's what you push on here, laughing to like get to the different configurations? Oh, so like you push like the symbol key, and then now all of a sudden they so the keys are overloaded depending on which modifier you hit. Am I practicing this one now? Hell no, Noiby. Give me my cheesy RGB like regular keyboard. I overloaded on pizza. That's a buffer overflow. Let's see. Fedora's Red Hat Enterprise, but not Enterprise and KDE Plasma. Dude, I really have just been enjoying the interface in Omarchy. Hyperland is actually pretty cool. And I never thought I'd say that about anything about Arch. I never thought I would use the terms cool and Arch in the same sentence. But the way DHH set up Omarchy, I actually really freaking enjoyed it. You're gonna get mailed the keyboard if you're not careful. I did it to Tyler. Awesome. No, don't get me wrong. I like the idea. I think it'd be interesting. So I guess so this is the base. Okay, I get it now. So this is your base configuration, right? And you're typing in all caps, but then you can hit the lower key to get your lower levers. You can raise it. Where's raise? Raise to get your specialty keys and your numpad. This would take so much getting used to. It still reminds me of like a batarang. Hold on. So they have anything else interesting here about like other ways they've used this? Let me see what he's got here. So still just reclining in his chair. Reclining. Anything else? Okay. I still say that like he's the fastest exploiter in the West. Right there. Draw on the count of 0x1. I have enough problems with a normal keyboard and knowing where the keys are, let alone trying to figure this thing out. You'd get used to it, Gumby. I need to go get some water. I'm dying from laughing so much. You would get used to it. I'm questioning. I'm dying here. I'm questioning like how long and how much frustration would I put in it to get used to it. That's the only thing I'm talking about. So it took me about a month combined with learning Colmark DH, which is the keyboard layout, but I'm fluent now. Okay. I could just imagine me trying to code with something like this on the stream and being like, I bet the swear jar would just skyrocket. No hydrate redeem. I'll add one, agent. Hang on. Where's my? I'll add one in there. I don't want to hydrate too much because I go to bed right after the stream. Hydrate, redeem. All right, I got it written down. All right, give me a sec, guys. I do need to get some water, so let's see if the be right back screen works. Hey, yeah, we still got the attack map. Heck yeah. All right, guys, be right back. right, I'm back. I'm back. Where's the button? Where's the button? There it is. Gone for a weekend. Forget where all the buttons are. Gotta pump up those pooping numbers. I'm not pooping. No, I couldn't find my water cup. It had disappeared. And then Sock had to ask me a question about something, so I promise I was not pooping. That's disgusting. I would never do that. Wait, you're not supposed to have access to the swear jar. Wait, hold on. Are you a VIP? Oh, you're a VIP. You do have access to the swear jar. Use it with responsibility, 57. Anyway. I think it's like a showdown in the middle of a town. Like getting ready to fire. I'm a fire my lasers. Ta, 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 ta. There's also a cooldown on it, Gumby. Ah, crap. One sec. All right, let's see what is happening here with the handsome uncle. So, to recap, Gallo died of a sudden, unexplained, mysterious, completely unexpected, the security cameras went off for 30 seconds heart attack. Not really, no, I just added that in there. Since we're talking about, mysterious databases, probably containing lists that you don't want out in public. All right, so Gallo's collaborator, Pasolini, a well-known businessman who headed Milan's prestigious Fondazione Fiera Milano, the country's largest exhibition center, was Equalizer's alleged frontman. So Pasolini, through his lawyer, declined to comment to Politico about the allegations. De Fiera, a magnet for money and power, made Pasolini a heavy hitter in Milanese circles. So having built a successful career across IT, energy, and other sectors, and boasting a full head of steely gray hair, he was known by some with the nickname Zio Bello, or Handsome Uncle. Zio Bello. Pasolini cultivated close ties to right-wing politicians, including Attila the Hun and Fontenegro, president of the Lombardy region, and maintained a close association with high-level intelligence officers. So he would meet clients in a chauffeur-driven black Tesla X, complete with blue flashing lights on the roof, the kind typically reserved for high-ranking officials. Ooh. Where's the... I got so many things around here, I don't have a place to even put my water down, where it's not blocking the monitor. All right, here. There we go. Clearly, I can't be trusted with responsibilities if I can't book 2 nights at the same hotel at the same time. Chris, I've done that before. And you know what sucked is, when I got... So the hotel wasn't booked solid, though. So what I had to do is I had to make another reservation at the same hotel. And because of the way their booking system worked, I had to check in for the first night, check out at like 11 or whatever time checkout was, and then check back in at like 4 in the afternoon. Into a different room. That was the way their system worked. So I've had to do that before. Okay, so let's look at this. So since 2019, Pasolini held a 95% stake in Equalize. So if Gallo's role was sourcing confidential information, Pasolini's was winning high-profile clients. That's according to the prosecutor. So leveraging his reputation and political connections, he helped secure business from banks, industrial conglomerates, multinationals, and international law firms, including pasta giant Barilla, the Italian subsidiary of Heineken, and an energy powerhouse, Eni. Eni. Like a belly button. Documents show that Eni paid Equalize 377,000 euros. So Roberto Albini, a spokesperson for the energy giant, told Politico that the firm had commissioned Equalize, quote, to support its strategies and defense in the context of several criminal and civil cases. So he added that Eni was not aware of any illegal activity by the company. Let's see. Marlou Den Beanman, I hope I said that right. Corporate communications manager for Heineken said the brewer had ceased all collaboration with Equalize and is actively cooperating with the authorities in their investigation of the company's practices. Barilla declined to comment. Smart move, probably. Italy's third largest bank, Banco Mediolanum? Mediolanum. Banco Mediolanum. Sounds very Italian. Hope I said it right. So that it had paid 3,000 euros to Equalize to gather more public information regarding a company that could have been the subject of a potential deal, which is managed by their investment bank. So the bank added, of course, we were not aware that Equalize was in general conducting its business through the adoption of illicit procedures. So the group's reach extended beyond Italy. So in February 2023, it was hired by Israeli state intelligence agencies for 1 million euros operation to trace the financial flows of the accounts to wealthy individuals to the Russian mercenary network Wagner. Or is it Wagner? I think it's Wagner. So in exchange, the Israelis promised to hand over intelligence on the illicit trafficking of Iranian gas through Italy. So a commodity that they suggested might be of interest to Equalize clients and the energy giant Eni. That's interesting, because I'm wondering, what do the Israelis want with Wagner? As far as I know, they didn't really have a stake in that game. Equalize rapidly grew into a formidable private investigation operation. Police report noted that Pasolini recognized data as a weapon of enormous economic and reputational gain. So adding Equalize's reason d'etre is to provide Pasolini with the information and the dossiers to be used for the achievement of political and economic aims. So during 2023 election campaign for the presidency of the Lombardy region, Pasolini ordered dossiers on close affiliates of the former mayor of Milan, Letizia Moratti. Oh, it sounds like Letizia Moratti, who was challenging his preferred candidate, the far-right Fontenegro. A spokesman of the it's actually Fontana called the alleged science fiction and said nothing was offered to the presidents of the region and did not ask anything of the he certainly did not pay for anything. Let's see. So in 22, Pasolini was in the running to manage Italy's 2026 Winter Olympics as chief executive. Wiretap suggests he ordered a dossier on his competitor, football club AC Milan chairman Paolo Scaroni. Scaroni, there we go. But didn't find anything on him. Good for him. He's either very good or very honest. Business was booming, but Pasolini and Gallo were thinking ahead. They had become reliant on cops willing to leak information. Those officers could be spooked or caught in the act, and that was a vulnerability. So they started to envision a more sophisticated operation, a platform that collated all the data the group had into in its possession and could generate a prize dossier with the click of a button, erasing the need for bribes and cutting manpower costs. So a repository of high-level secrets that, once operational, would give Pasolini and Gallo and their team unprecedented power in Italy. Pasolini declined to comment on the investigation. He is due to plea before the judge at a preliminary hearing in October. Well, October's over, so I wonder how this played out. Again, I bookmarked this 2 weeks ago whenever I first saw about it. All right, so we've got a new player entering. This is like Game of Thrones. Enter Samuel Calamucci, the coding brain for the operation. Calamucci is from a small town just outside Milan, and before he began his career in cybersecurity, he was involved in stonemasonry. Interesting change. So unlike his partners Gallo and Pasolini, Calamucci wasn't a known face in the city, and he had worked hard to keep it that way. He ran his own private investigation firm, Mercury Advisor, from the same office as Equalize, handling the company's IT operations as an outside contractor. So Calamucci knew his way around the Italian government IT systems too. So in wiretap conversations, he claimed he had helped build the digital infrastructure for Italy's National Cybersecurity Agency and have worked for their Secret Services Department of Information for Security. Whoa. So known within gangs as the Professor, Calamucci's role was to recruit and manage the team of 30 to 40 programmers he called the Boys. Ragazzi, I think that's how you'd say it. So with his best recruits, he began to build Beyond, which is, I believe that was their database system, in 2022. The platform designed to be a digital equivalent to an all-seeing eye. So to populate it, Calamucci and his team purchased data from the dark web. Exploited access through government IT maintenance contracts and siphoned intelligence from the state databases wherever they could. At least prosecutors allege. So in one police-recorded conversation, Calamucci boasted of a hard drive holding 800,000 dossiers. Through his lawyer, Calamucci declined to comment. We all thought the requested reports served the good of the country, said one of the hackers granted anonymity to speak freely. 90% of the reports carried out were about energy projects, which required open source criminal records or memberships in mafia syndicates, given that a large portion concerned the South region of Italy. Only 5% of the jobs they carried out were for individuals to conduct an analysis of enemies or competitors. Interesting split. So the hackers were also not allowed to know who was coming into Equalize's office from the outside. So meetings were held behind closed doors in Gallo's office or in a conference room. The hackers told Politico that explaining that the analysts were unaware of the company's dynamics and the people it associated with. Interesting. I mean, that's kind of funny, though. It's a little bit of a funny split. You trust these people to go in and do illicit gathering of information, but not know who you're talking to. So beyond the database, gave Pasolini, Gallo, and the gang a treasure trove of compromising information on political and business figures in a searchable platform. The wiretaps indicated that the plan was to sell access via subscriptions to select clients. It's always a subscription-based model. I'm tired of subscriptions. Even the bad guys are getting it on microtransactions. Let's see. This included international law firm Dentons and some key players of the Big Four consultancies like Deloitte, KPMG, and EY. What? They are 100% above board. I personally have no knowledge of them ever doing wrong things. Personally. Anyway, Dentons declined to comment. Deloitte and EY did not respond to a request for comment. Odd van Winkel, senior communications officer for KPMG in Belgium, where one of the alleged gang members also worked, said the consultancy did not have any prior knowledge or record of KPMG in Belgium working with the platform. Intelligence mercenaries. These chapter titles are great. So in Italy's sprawling private investigation scene, Equalize was a relative newcomer, but Gallo, Pasolini, and their associates had something going for them, and which is they were well connected. One alleged member of the organization, Gabriele Pegoraro, had worked as an external cybersecurity expert for the intelligence service and had previously made headlines in the IT genius who helped capture fugitive terrorists. What? Sidetrack. I don't care. Anybody speak Italian? Dang, I don't have Google Translate on here. That's all right. We had so many issues with EY when I worked in SOC. All I'm saying is that I don't have any personal information about those Big Four being anything but above board. Personally. I've had no personal experience. Let me say that. Laughing, I didn't know you spoke Italian. Let's see. So Pegoraro said he carried out only lawful operations using publicly available sources and was in the dark about how the information was used. Again, according to wiretaps, they just wiretapped the crap out of these guys. Calamucci and Gallo had worked with several intelligence agencies to provide surveillance to protect criminal informants. On one occasion, Calamucci explained to a subordinate that the relationship with the secret services was essential to continue running Equalize undisturbed. We're mercenaries for Italian intelligence. He heard was saying by police listening on the meeting with foreign agents in the office. The services also helped with data searches for the group and created a mask of cover for the gang, which, of course, again, alleged by... I hate when they do this. Let me know this is what the prosecutors said ahead of time. Come on. So a hacker proudly claimed that Equalize even had even received computers handed down from Italy's foreign intelligence agencies, while law enforcement watched for bugs planted in the ceiling. That's funny. Peter, you can't speak Italian just because you have a mustache. Oh. Let's see. What else we got here? Okay, so now we're getting a little bit closer to recent events. So in October 2024, the music stopped. Prosecutors placed 4 of the alleged gang members, including Gallo and Calamucci, under house arrest and another 60 people under investigation. So they brought forward charges including conspiracy to hack, corruption. Wait, hold on. Conspiracy to hack? That's a crime in Italy? Interesting. I mean, conspiracy is one thing, but the fact that they have a special subset for conspiracy to hack, that's funny. Anyway, so the charges included conspiracy to hack, corruption, illegal accessing of data, and the violation of official secrets. So just as the Stasi destroyed the lives of so many people using a mixture of fabricated and collected information, so did these guys, said Leonida? I was going to say Leonida Ritano, an Italian open source investigator who studied the case. They collected sensitive information, including medical reports, and used it to compromise their targets. News of what the gang had done dropped like a bombshell in Italy's political class. Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani, I don't know how to say that, J. Anyway, told reporters at the time that the affair was unacceptable, while Interior Minister Matteo Piadosi, I think that's how you say it, warned that Parliament that the hackers were altering the rules of democracy. They're not altering the rules of democracy, they're altering the rules of... what's the word I was just thinking of? Man, I'm tired. I can't even think of the word I was just thinking about. My brain is cooked. Actually, it was Brian, not Lois. I know my Family Guy. Oh, that was Brian? Oh, well, I liked it better as my Lois. They were just altering the rules of Italy. Yeah. The thought police are coming for us. They're already here, man. 1984 was supposed to be a warning, not an instruction manual. Anyway, let's see. So Prime Minister Renzi warned of a deeper political risk associated with the gang. So it's clear that Equalize are very close to the leading leaders of the right-wing parties and intended to build a powerful organization. Although it's not yet certain how deep an impact they had, he told Politico, Renzi is seeking damages to civil plaintiff in the eventual criminal trial. Equalize was liquidated in March, and some of the alleged hackers have since taken on legitimate roles within the cybersecurity sector. There are many unresolved questions around the case. Investigators and observers are still trying to determine the full extent of Equalize's ties to Italian intelligence agencies, and whether any clients were aware of or complicit in the collection methods used to compile sensitive dossiers. Interviews with intelligence officers conducted during the investigation were never transcribed. Interviews with intelligence officials conducted during the investigation were never transcribed. Hella sus. And testimony given to parliamentary committees remains classified. Double hella sus. Police documents are heavily redacted, leaving the identities of key figures and the full scope of the operation unclear. So while Equalize is unprecedented in its scale, efforts to collect information on political opponents have become an Italian tradition. Dude, that's just a political a tradition. That's just how politics rolls. Fight dirty. Let's see. So spying on the political chicanery during and after the Cold War has damaged democracy and undermined trust in public institutions. Dude, this wasn't just the Cold War. This crap's been going on forever. It's just easier to find the information now, especially now more than ever. People post their crimes on freaking TikTok and Instagram. Made worse by a lethargic justice system that can take years, if not decades, to deliver justice. So it adds to the perception that Italy is a country which you can never find the truth. Franco Gabrielli, a former director of Italy's civil intelligence services, warned that even the toughest of sentences are unlikely to put an end to the practice. It just increases the cost because if I risk more, I charge more. Well, that's the name of the game, man. More risk, more pay. But more risk also. We must reduce the damage, put procedures, mechanisms, he added, but fortunately all over the world, even where people earn more, there are always black sheep, people who are corrupt. It's human nature. I am Batman. Such a dramatic ending. Anyway, I thought that was kind of neat. There was less hacking to it. And I'll admit this. How a hacking gang held Italy. And they weren't doing much hacking. What they did was they got jobs working for them and they stole the data. They were pickpockets, more or less. Digital pickpockets, that was it. Inside men. Well, hello there, Tifu. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. got something in my eye. It's probably sleep because I am so amazingly sleep deprived. All right, what else we got here? This was another interesting one that came across my gaze. Glassworm, the first self-propagating worm using invisible code, hits OpenVSX Marketplace. Man, we're seeing like the worm renaissance. We had 2 NPM worms, and then a potential for what could have been like a third Azure worm, or a third one, not the first, not it would have been the first Azure worm with the authentication bypass that Jerk John found, and thankfully responsibly disclosed and patched, and hopefully got a fat 7-figure check from Microsoft because I hope he got an 8-figure check because he saved them a lot. I hope he's set. I hope he just gets to chill for a long time. All right, you're doing this now too. I hate this. So if you're ever wondering what I'm doing in here, I hate these freaking banners that when you're scrolling, they always take up a good portion of your screen, especially since I zoom in a lot to make the text larger for the stream. And so now this thing is taking up a good probably 10% of my screen space, and I don't like that. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to inspect, and I'm doing some leet hacking, and that is I'm just finding where the header class actually lives in here, and then I'm just deleting it. So it no longer renders. I'm doing leet hacks like that. Opening inspect tools. Super leet hacks. Let's see. Call it Arrakis the way we're seeing all these worms. Dude, I know, right? The season of Arrakis. And look, they even mentioned it right here. So this was called Glassworm. The first self-propagating worm using invisible code hits opens VSX Marketplace. So a month after Shai-Hulud became the first self-propagating worm in the NPM ecosystem, we just discovered the world's first worm targeting VS Code extensions on the OpenVSX Marketplace. But Glassworm isn't just another supply chain attack, it's using stealth techniques we've never seen before in the wild. Invisible Unicode characters that make malicious code literally disappear from code editors. Ooh, spicy. Combined with blockchain-based C2 infrastructure that can't be taken down. I have to know about this. Google Calendar is a backup C2 and a full remote access Trojan that turns every infected developer into a criminal proxy node. It wasn't me, it was the VS Code extension. It was looking at the naughty, spicy pictures. Let's see. This is one of the most sophisticated supply chain attacks we've ever analyzed, and it's spreading right now. So what Glassworm does when it infects a user? So it harvests NPM, GitHub, and Git credentials for supply chain propagation, targets 49 different cryptocurrency wallet extensions to drain funds, deploys SOX proxy servers, turning developer machines into criminal infrastructure. That's actually really smart because you steal these, you SOX proxy through their own machine, and then it looks really legit. Let's see. Installs a hidden VNC server for complete remote access. Okay, I believe all of this stuff. Let me see this last thing. Uses stolen credentials to compromise additional packages and extensions and spreads the worm further. I believe it does every single one of these. The thing I'm having trouble believing is that it was a blockchain C2 infrastructure and a Google Calendar backup command server. SOX and VNC are real-time protocols. They don't handle lag very well. There is no lagless blockchain. There is no lagless Google Calendar. So I'm very curious to know how they're doing this and this. The SOX proxy and the VNC stuff. Because you're not doing that over any kind of blockchain system. You can do C2 over blockchain. That's no big deal. But doing SOX and VNC over it? Not a chance. I was using the CVSS 4.0 calculator on a laptop with a smaller screen, and the bottom banner thing on the site was taking up literally about a third of the screen. And when my VS Code extension downloads $1 billion in deposits into my bank account, yeah, I wish, man. The transactions don't usually flow in that direction. So the current state of things, 7 OpenVSX extensions compromised on October 17th, 2025, totaling about 35,000 downloads. 10 extensions still actively distributing malware while you're reading this. Well, who knows, because this was from last month. The attacker's C2 infrastructure is fully operational, payload servers are responding, and stolen credentials are being used to compromise additional packages. A new infected extension was detected on October 19th in VS Code's marketplace. That was still active. I don't know what the current state of this is because they haven't. I don't know when the last time they updated this article. It came out on the 18th. So this was, 2 weeks ago. Hold on, where is it? I missed those stuff. The attack went live yesterday. The infrastructure is active. The worm is spreading. So what our risk engine detected? Let's see. So here's how the whole thing started. Our risk engine at Koi flagged an OpenVSX extension called CodeJoy when version 183 introduced some suspicious behavioral changes. So when our researchers dug into it, like we do with any malware in our risk engine flags, we found what was very disturbing. Interesting. So I guess I'm not familiar with this group, Koi or anything like that. I guess they're monitoring extensions for VS Code. I didn't time you out laughing. The poop and the swear jar commands have a timeout on them. I don't remember what I set it to. There you go. Just they're spamming the poop button. You guys are funny. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So the extension was called CodeJoy that they flagged on. So CodeJoy looked legitimate, a developer productivity tool with hundreds of downloads, regular updates, seemingly normal code. But our risk engine caught something that human code reviewers would have missed entirely: suspicious network connections and credential access patterns that had nothing to do with the extension's productivity features. So we opened the source code to take a closer look, and then we saw it, or rather, didn't see it. The invisible attack Unicode stealth technique. So we're looking at the screenshot of the CodeJoy extension source code. Looks pretty bare. Look at that. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Can I scroll up? Can I scroll to the side? What's going on here? There we go. This is terrible. Zoom in. There we go. So it looks like this is all there is, but then look, the code just stops. It just disappears. That's their problem. Again, I would call this an OPSEC failure because your code just fucking disappears in here. Hey, 57, hit the swear jar for me. 67. You guys. They should have made this look a little bit more legit in here, where what they could have done is they could have defined a variable in here, right? So they're doing whatever this decode function is, right? And then they just stop doing everything. What you do is you define a keyword in here, right? One that looks right. And then below that, then you define your invisible one, and then you have it actually go do the var decode bytes and do the other stuff, right? You split it up. You make it look legit. Too legit to quit. There you go. Gumby got it. I scrolled up to the top, you bastards. All right, let's see what I got here. So the massive gap between lines 2 and 7, that's not empty space, that's malicious code. Oh, I see it here. There was another part down here. Look at that. That's hilarious. That's a big gap. So that's the malicious code there, encoded in unprintable Unicode characters that literally don't render in your code editor. So the malware is invisible. The malware is not invisible. It's invisible the same way the light that's still traveling as photons can't be seen because our eyes don't perceive it. Anyway, I get what you're saying. It should be obfuscated. It probably is obfuscated. Let's see. Actually invisible to the human eye. Doesn't mean it's invisible, just means we don't perceive it. Or the computer doesn't perceive it and print it. Anyway, I get what they're going for, but they're embellishing a bit. The attacker used Unicode variation selectors, special characters that are part of Unicode specification but don't produce any visual output. So to a developer doing code review, it looks like blank lines or white space. To static analysis tools scanning for suspicious code, it looks like nothing at all, but to the JavaScript interpreter, it looks like executable code. That's why we call it glassworm. Like glass, it's completely transparent. You can stare right at it and see nothing. The developer whose account got compromised probably looked at this file, saw what appeared to be... No, he didn't. He didn't look at it, I guarantee. What appeared to be legitimate code and had no idea that they were about to distribute malware to hundreds of users. So here's the thing. The technique completely breaks traditional code review. You can't spot what you can't see. GitHub diff views show nothing suspicious. Your IDE syntax handling, all clear. Hold on. I would be suspicious if the get view didn't show all of a sudden there's, a crap ton of white space added in there. If it wasn't rendering those Unicode characters. It shouldn't work for you though. I thought so. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Hey 44, what's up, dude? I remember back when doing some box, if you cat the file, it won't output certain lines. Interesting. That's where our good friend Hexdump comes in. Security by obscurity. That's right. We're going to obscure it. Let's see. Manual code inspection. Basically, everything looks normal. So the invisible code technique isn't just clever. It's a fundamental break from our security model. So we built entire systems around assumption that humans can review code. Glassworm just proved that assumption wrong. At least in JavaScript. Let's see. So the unkillable C2, the Solana blockchain. So we decoded the invisible Unicode characters, and what do we find inside? Another stage of sophistication that absolutely, honestly made our jaws drop. So the malware uses the Solana blockchain as a command and control infrastructure. Let's see. Read that again. The attackers are using blockchain, immutable, decentralized, impossible to take down as their C2 server. Let's see. So here's how it works. So we have an attacker wallet. We have signatures. We have limits. Now, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but because I'm not very familiar with the Solana blockchain, but if you're going to be using that blockchain to get that information out, I don't know, maybe they'll explain it. I'm not going to make suppositions just yet. Maybe they'll explain it since I don't remember the intricacies of Solana. I very briefly looked at it like 3 years ago. I don't remember. Let's see. So the Solana blockchain points to the next stage. So the malware searches the Solana blockchain for transactions from the hard-coded wallet address. And when it finds a transaction, it reads the memo field, a place where you can attach arbitrary text to blockchain transactions. So inside that memo, a JSON object with a base 64 encoded link to download the next stage. Okay, so this is cool, but also, if you know it's hard-coded to a certain wallet address, you just set up your own thing to monitor Solana and look for that wallet address, and then when it updates, you just block it. So the cool thing is a lot of people think that blockchain makes everything impossible to track. No, it's incredibly 100% transparent. Let's see. So here's the actual real Solana transaction, and where's the memo field? There it is. So link, and it's a nice JSON. Oh, how handy. Let's see. So the instruction data contain this, which is a base 64 encoded string going to whatever this server is. And just like that, the malware knows where to download its next payload. You also know where to go block it. Just saying. Let's see. So this is absolutely brilliant and terrifying. Immutable. So once a transaction is on the blockchain, it can't be modified or deleted ever. No takedown request. No domain seizures. It's there forever. You don't got to take down the channel. You just go take down the server. Let's see. Or you just block the server. Just saying. Let's see. So it's anonymous. Crypto wallets are pseudonymous. Good luck tracing back to a real person. Okay. Cool. Censorship resistant. So there's no hosting provider to contact, no register to pressure, no infrastructure to shut down. Bullshit. There's the server that's hosting the malware. The Solana blockchain just exists as a communications medium. It still has to go to a node. Anyway, legit traffic. Connections to the Solana RPC nodes look completely normal. Security tools won't flag it. And I'll agree with them on that one. Dynamic and cheap. So want to make an update? Just post a new transaction for a cost of 0.00005 sol, which is about less than a penny. And the attacker can route infrastructure as often as they want as long as they want for pocket change. So even if I identify and block the URL, in this case, the attacker just posts a new transaction with a different URL and infected extensions automatically fetch the new location. True, but you're not trying to protect everybody. You're trying to protect yourself. That's the kicker here. So you're playing whack-a-mole with an opponent who has infinite moles and infinite mallets. This would be a case of, okay, you set up something to go monitor the Solana transactions, and when you see that link, you decode it, and then you instantly block that on your firewall. Let's see. Finally, a valid use for blockchain. I think there's some valid use cases for it, but blockchain was pretty much what AI is now, right? It's like everybody back in 2020 was like, just freaking throw some blockchain at it. And now everybody's like, just freaking throw some AI at it. Let's see. This is a real-world production-ready C2 infrastructure that's actively serving malware right now. And there's literally no way to take it down. Yeah, you take this down. I'm curious about something. Let's go look at something real quick. Super tool. Let's go look at MX Toolbox real quick. Let's zoom in here. So let's look for, let's see if there's a pointer record to what this server was. Now this was from a while ago, so chances are we're not going to see what it is. Okay, so this is going to Vultr user content up here. That's not what I wanted to do. Vultr user content. Let me see what this is. Well, let's actually pull up the site, or because I've heard of Vultr before. It sounded familiar. Vultr. Yeah. So, okay, cool. They spun up a cloud server. You're telling me you can't go block that? Anyway, they're blowing it out a little bit here. So they spun up a VPS, and they're like, oh my god, they're serving malware from it. Yeah. So we fetch the URL and get back a massive base64 payload, but it's encrypted with AES-256 CBC encryption with a key I don't have. So where's the decryption key? In the HTTP response headers. It has to be there somewhere, because if this shit's encrypted, man, I'm just cussing up a storm. If this code is encrypted, by Joe, you've got to have the decryption key. Meaning, it's either up here in this invisible code, or it's down here in the payload somewhere. So the attacker is dynamically generating encryption keys per request, pass them into a custom HTTP header. Smart. Even if you intercept the encrypted payload, you need to make a fresh request to get the current keys. I mean, that actually is a really cool idea, though. I do like that idea. So we decrypted the payload and started analyzing what it does. This is where Glassworm's true purpose becomes clear. Thanks, Gumby. Let's see. So it looks like they were looking for a particular wallet extension. So MetaMask, Trust Wallet, Phantom, and Coinbase. Oh, by the way, so had a follow-up the other day with my back doctor. She said everything's looking good. But on the way to go to the back doctor, I got one of those 1-800 automated, somebody has compromised your Coinbase account or is requesting a multi-factor authentication reset. If you did not request this, please press 1. I'm like, oh, great. 1. Thank you. A representative will call you shortly. Cool. Driving to the doctor, get to the doctor's office. I'm getting out of the car and he calls back. I'm like, oh, man, I don't have long to mess with him. So I get him on the phone and he's asking about, do I have a Trezor or did I ask for this MFA reset? You know, I'm going to help you reset this so you can get back into your account. We've locked it. I'm like, cool. And so he's like, so, you know, how are you handling this stuff? And I was like, I only trust pen and paper with my private keys. He's like, how are you using Coinbase? Oh, I only use that to go make purchases on the dark web. He's like, oh, interesting. What kind of purchases? I buy bath salts. He's like, okay. Cool. And then he hung up on me. I didn't have very long to string him along. I was literally walking into the doctor's office. But it was fun. I buy bath salts. Too funny. So looking at this little code, we can kind of guess what it's doing. It's, well, actually, hold on, let me look right here real quick. So extension path, user profile. It's looking for extension IDs. So it looks like it's going for NPM auth tokens, GitHub tokens, VSX credentials, and Git credentials, and about 49 different cryptocurrency wallets. There's more, though. Buried in the code, we also found something else, a Google Calendar link. Oh. You know, that Google Calendar link has to be... I gotta go look. Can we pull it up? You know, Google has really good responses to this kind of stuff, right? I'm pretty sure they could go find the associated account and nuke it. Should have reverse unit him. We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. Bobby, why didn't I think of that? Yes. Next time that comes up, I will do that. When they call you, they're always like, yeah, here's my name. It's like I think his name was like Jason or something. I was like, oh, Jason, great. I've been trying to reach you. Did you know your car's extended warranty is about to expire? I'm gonna hit him with the Batman when I do that. Let's see. So the malware reaches out to this Google Calendar event backup C2 mechanism. And guess what its event title is? Another base64 encoded URL pointing to another encrypted payload. You can take this stuff down. Google has deleted malicious stuff before. I remember getting like spam through Google Calendar invites. They're like, hey, want to make your PP bigger? Here's your Google Calendar invite to make your PP bigger. I'm like, man, you guys have nothing but go get a real job. Let's see. So once I get this base 64, it decodes to this other URL, get zombie payload. So zombie, for a zombie botnet, the attack is literally naming the endpoints after what they're turning the victims into. Oh yeah, they do that. I mean, these people aren't creative in that sense, right? Let's see. So why use Google Calendar as a backup C2? It's free and legitimate. No one blocks Google Calendar. That's true, but Google can go nuke that off, especially if it's a hard-coded payload in here. So all this is building off of a chain, right? You've got their primary payload, which goes and reaches out to the Solana blockchain and then reads the memo field, which then points it to a VPS where it can download the next blob. The HTTP header has the encryption key, so unless you're capturing it and you have a copy of the data like in a proxy, you're not going to be able to decrypt it. That's fine. You go make another request. You're Gucci. You get that information down. Inside there, they've got this Google count. There's so many ways you could automatically take down this extension. For one, nuke the extension off the calendar byte. For two, you just go monitor the other stuff happening. And then three, you've got IOCs on the box to help people identify this stuff. They're making it sound like this is the unblockable, unbreachable C2 that will never die. It's like, no, there's very real technical controls you could do to get rid of this. Not to diss their investigative information that they've got here. I just don't think they're thinking through the actual legit technical steps where you could go to dismantle this. Let's see. So we've got a triple layer C2 system, Solana blockchain, primary, immutable, direct IP connection, very blockable, and then a Google Calendar, backup legitimate service, which Google can nuke off there no problem. So if one gets blocked, another keeps working, and all three are nearly impossible to take down. Nope and nope. This one, yep, you're not taking down the Solana blockchain, but this thing and this thing can be definitely noped off the internet. Zombie, the nightmare reveal. So when the fetch zombie payload URL captures the encryption keys with the headers, decrypts it, and starts deobfuscating what turns out to be massively obfuscated JavaScript payload. And that's when we realize this isn't just credential theft, it's a full spectrum remote access Trojan. Come on down, we've got everything for your Trojans. Let's see. Glassworm's final stage, the zombie module transforms every infected developer workstation into a node for criminal infrastructure. Let me break down what this thing can do, because it's honestly one of the most sophisticated pieces of malware we've ever analyzed. They're gonna tell me, hey, here's where the SOX proxy and here's where the VNC happens, and you're telling me you can't go find out where that's happening either and block that? Come on, man. Come on, man. That's what I'm saying. It can be traced, and that's why I call BS on it. So I feel like it was written as a fear-mongering tactic, toy scared noobs that don't know shit about this stuff. I think they understand only a portion of it, though, Gumby. I think they understand what the malware is doing, and obviously they understand code, but they maybe don't understand the technical infrastructure that goes in and like basic IT, let's call it sysadmin. They don't understand basic IT administration and what actually happens in an incident response. I think that's the gap in their either presentation or their knowledge here, one or the two. So as they're looking at this, they're thinking, my God, what would I ever do? I was like, God, they're not really doing anything new that hasn't been done before. They're just putting the Lego pieces together in a different way. Let's see. So here's our code for starting a SOX proxy. So what's it going to do? It's going to fetch whatever the IP is, WebRTC. Yeah, so they're using RTC in here. Let's see. I need to make that short. It's so long.
Incoming transmission from Mariano Gumby. It's poopin' time.
Oh, it is pooping time. I'm back. I had my hip keyboard, and I was able to poop. The fastest pooper in the West. So your developer, let's look at this. So they download the SOX proxy system. It's going to be doing WebRTC to some IP address. So your developer workstation, the one thing inside your corporate network behind all your firewalls and security controls, just became a proxy node for criminal activity. Let's see. So you got corporate network access. And so here's the kicker here. They're talking about, oh, you got corporate network access now. Don't you think maybe these corporate machines might be monitored for some of this? Now, actually, I'll give them something on this. Because notice how this is all running inside of Node. I just recently, on the assessment I'm on right now, backdoored a Node program with Loki C2, and that was one of the ways we got initial compromise into the environment. And for some reason, Electron-based applications, they get a really wide berth when it comes to EDR systems. So that was how we got one of our initial payloads into the environment, was backdooring an Electron app. Let's see. Attack anonymization. Attackers route traffic through your IP, not theirs. Let's see. Bypass firewalls. Free infrastructure. Why pay for proxy servers when the victim can provide it? That's true. Let's see. So they're doing WebRTC peer-to-peer. Let's see. It downloads and deploys a WebRTC module for peer-to-peer communications. I'm not reading the code because my JavaScript is weak and old. Let's see. WebRTC enables direct peer-to-peer connections that bypass traditional firewalls through NAT traversal. The attackers can establish real-time direct channels to infect machines without going through any central servers. Yeah, or to the infected machines. Let's see. Ooh, they're using DHT. Interesting. So Zombie uses BitTorrent's DHT network for command distributions. Ooh, that is fancy. I hadn't seen that in a minute. So commands are distributed through BitTorrent's DHT network. Now, here's one of the other things that I want to talk about in here. So they're talking about they're doing this through a corporate network access. Most corporate environments have some kind of a proxy in place that's monitoring traffic, right? So, and you would hope that that in some way was integrated into your EDR, so you could have something like your proxy traffic and your, and I'm talking idealized scenario. Most companies don't get this far. Very advanced companies do. But you'd have something like you've got your proxy logs going into something like Splunk, and then you've got your EDR logs and alerts going to something like Splunk. And if they notice that, hey, we're seeing some low severity stuff happening over Meow, and some weird activity happening for the proxy of Meow, and this is the common link, hopefully they would go investigate it. I wouldn't hold my breath, but that would be some way that they'd be looking at this. Also, you're talking about trying to connect to these things. RTC to some weird IP address, like maybe something hosted up on Vultr, that might raise some suspicions too. Because that IP address is going to be flagged as part of the group of controlled IPs by Vultr, and is probably going to have a pretty high reputational risk.
Incoming transmission from Mariano Gumby. Did you just meow?
I guess I did. I said rap meow. Do I look like a cat? Like I'd enjoy a nice saucer of milk? Let me see your license registration. Rap meow. If you have not seen Super Troopers, definitely highly recommend it. Let's see. So we have commands here that are distributed through BitTorrent's distributed hash table network. Let's see. So there's no central C2 server to take offline. Yeah, but BitTorrent DHT is going to be blocked in a corporate firewall. I'm just saying. I don't know any corporate firewall in a well-organized company that's not going to block DHT. It's just going to be like, oh, you're talking to BitTorrent DHT? Boom! Drop that crap. All right, so here, actually, this is what I was curious about. Also, this hidden VNC. Let's see. So there's a hidden VNC connection here. I'm trying to read through what this is doing. Let's see. So you set an archive path. They're going to set a zip path, key, and initialization vector. They're going to decipher it with AES 128 CBC. They're going to have some kind of decryption buffer happening here, and they're going to exec start that. Okay, so it looks like they're actually sending the VNC, I guess, executable up to it and then executing it that way. So the attacker can basically use your mouse and keyboard. That's what they're doing. The full picture. Zombie isn't just malware. It's a complete remote access and network penetration toolkit. SOX proxies for routing attacks through your victim's network. WebRTC for direct firewall bypassing control. BitTorrent DHT for unkillable command distribution. HVNC for invisible remote desktop access. Automatic restart on any failure. It won't go away. Modular architecture supporting dynamic capability updates. Come on, guys. I know you're just fear-mongering now. So for enterprises, this is a nightmare scenario. An infected developer workstation becomes an internal network access point, a persistent backdoor, a proxy for attacking other systems, an exfiltration command, or exfiltration channel for sensitive data, and a command and control relay point. Come on, man. All right. Actually, this is one of the things I was looking forward to. Self-propagation and how it works. So here's where the glassworm earns the worm part of the name. So remember the credentials it was stealing. NPM tokens, GitHub credentials, OpenVSX access. Those aren't for data theft. They're for propagation. So they do initial infection, which is they compromise the developer account, pushing malicious code to a legitimate extension. They have the invisible Unicode payload. They do credential harvesting from NPM, GitHub, whatever. And then they use the stolen credentials to compromise more packages and extensions. So now, I wonder, did they actually get copies of the automated spreading code? I'll be interested about that. Each new victim becomes an infection vector. Repeat the cycle. So this isn't a one-off supply chain attack. It's a worm designed to spread through the developer ecosystem like wildfire. So just 1 month ago, security community witnessed Shai Hulud, the first successful self-propagating worm in the NPM ecosystem. The campaign compromised over 100 packages by stealing NPM tokens and automatically publishing malicious versions. So Glassworm brings the same technique to OpenVSX. Hey, Pajari, thanks for coming online, man. Actually, that was the gifted subscription. Gumby gifted a subscription to Pajari. Thanks, man. I appreciate you, Gumby. Let's see. Blockchain-based C2 that can't be taken down. Yeah, but it can be scanned and blocked in real time. I need to get a better animation for that. I didn't realize I didn't have one. Gumby, thanks again for the gifted sub, man. Let's see. Full remote access Trojan capabilities, multi-layered redundancy. And there's a third one from Gumby. Just machine gunning these out, man. Thank you so much. I missed you guys last week. Because it was Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. I couldn't stream last week. And I legit missed getting to see all your beautiful names in chat and hear all the raw ways y'all have to infer that I'm pooping. Oh, let's see here. Multi-layered redundancy. Yeah, it's redundancy that can be taken down or blocked. So attackers have figured out how to make supply chain malware self-sustaining. They're not just compromising individual packages anymore. They're building worms. Let's see. With traditional supply chain attacks, you compromise one package. That's your blast radius. Yeah. The worm does wormy things. Impact. 35,800 victims. Active right now. Now, this was October 19th. I'm hoping this has been a little bit curbed since then. Let's see. So the attack timeline was October 17th is when 7 OpenVSX extensions were compromised. October 18th is when they detected and began analysis. That's a pretty good, publish to detection time frame right there. From the 17th to the 18th. I mean, that even if you get like the full 24 hours from start to stop, that's still pretty good publishing to detection. But then October 19th, they noticed that there was more happening in the marketplace, and currently there were 5 extensions still actively distributing the malware. Now, this I have a hard time believing because I can't believe that some of these platforms wouldn't have the ability to drop malware off their system. Like say, hey, we realize that everybody's using this. Kill it. Let's see. So VS Code extensions auto update. So when CodeJoy pushed version 1.8.3 with invisible malware, everyone with CodeJoy installed got automatically updated to the infected version. So without user interactions or warnings, yeah, that's a big problem there. Since the malware is invisible, the original developers whose accounts were compromised probably had no idea. They might have even reviewed the empty lines of code and seen nothing wrong. I would have definitely seen something wrong. Like if there's code spacing to make the code readable, but then you've got a huge word-wrapped long blob in there, that would have raised some interesting issues. It depends on how it was displayed in the Git diff. I'll give them that. Let's see. So what's happening right now? All the bad stuff we already talked about. C2 infrastructure. Yeah, we can't take that offline. Come on, man. Solana blockchain, Google Calendar, exfiltration server. Now, where's this one? I'm curious about this. Let's see. MX Toolbox. Let's see. Does this one have a pointer record? Oh, look! Vulter! Let's go look at something real quick. Vulter IP blocks. Actually, you know what? We might even just be able to find it from here. Let's see. So this is this IP address, which is in Vulter, which comes back to vulter.com. And Vulter user content is actually 127 right now. Wait a second. Hold on. Because they had a URL that was listed in here. So this Vulter user content. Where was that? Hold on. I know it was in here. Oh, no, they did it by IP address. That was it. Anyway. What I want to see, though, is... Where's Vulter? Usually, these hosting systems, they have dedicated IP blocks that are going to be happening in here. Let's go back over here to, like, Vulter.com. Look this up. Okay. So this is the Constant Company, which has an AS number of 20473. So if we look up the ASN, 20417, this is them, and it looks like they've got 1.29 million IP addresses, but there's all their code blocks right there. So what was the one we saw in here? It was 21769. Nice. CK get infected if you don't update your software. That's right, laughing. Hey, Gumpy, thanks for the 5th gifted sub. I don't know when you... So you just been piecemealing them out. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. You awesome. You awesome, Gumpy. So yeah, here we go. Look at this. So here was the IP address in here, right? 217.69.3.218. Nice. Let's see. And so from the just looking at the ASN number that's associated with it, this 2473, that's it right there. So it's a /20. So that means we're going to have, let's see, 128. Yeah, 128, 192. So everything from 0 to 191 in this octet is covered by that. So literally, if you said, okay, Vulter is sus as hell, we're going to block everything that's hosted over in Vulter since it's personal VPSs. You just blew away the entire thing. So the idea here that your company is not going to be able to respond to this, dunzo. Picked your peeps. Gotcha. Like a sniper. Kapew, kapew.
Caution. A virus has been detected.
The Shy Hat!
The Shy Hat virus detected in the network.
I got to figure out if I... So Shy Hat, I am working on a new streaming rig. I got to figure out if I can do a shout out. I can. Yes. Okay. At the Shy Hat. I was actually wait, why isn't it let me do it? The Shy Hat. There it is. I am the dev, Alex. No! That was the wrong one. Stupid autocorrect. Won't let me do another shout out. Piece of crap. Anyway, guys, Shy Hat, what were you working on tonight? Welcome in, welcome everybody. Bear with me. So far, everything seems to be going good, but actually, the hype train started. This past week, I didn't get to stream. This is actually my first stream back since I had to do a complete rebuild of a lot of my streaming setup. So far, everything seems to be working pretty well, but if you notice weirdness, give me feedback. This is a shakedown stream. We're trying to figure out everything that's going on. Hip hop hack, hip hop hack. I love that. Did a fun hack, did fun box on TryHackMe called Rabbit Store. Big chain of attacks to get initial access. Ooh, nice. Look at that one. THM Rabbit Store. Because I'm always thinking what's going to be the next target for Hackbot when we get over to that. The Bleaky Bunny. Tweaking Productions 420. Thanks for coming online, man. I gotta shorten that sound.
Incoming transmission from Marano Gumby. Look at what has started.
Yeah, oops, you did it again. Maybe I actually thought I'd put like try hack me in here. Because I wanted to take a look at that one. But yeah, so this is the first stream back. I missed like a whole week of streaming because usually I'll be live on Wednesdays when we're doing hacking news, and then Saturdays and Sundays when we're working on some projects. And my home desktop just got BTFO'd. I'm running this weird dual system right now where I've got a dedicated box streaming, and then I've got my laptop, which is an old, like 7-year-old laptop that got resurrected with Omarchi, and actually it's working really well. Way better than I thought it was going to. All right, Shahad, take care, man. Thanks for stopping in. I don't want to sign in. I just want to see what this one's like. Let's see. I don't know what my password is. I got to go dig it out. It was on the old computer that got blown away. What's the difficulty? It is a medium difficulty. Cool. I'll have to remember this one. I'm going to try to remember this one. I'm going to put it over here. Let's see. Can we send links? I have that one for Hackbox. Yeah, Sigvolts. Links are not blocked in the chat at all. Because if you send something that's sketch, I'm just gonna flame you for it. Just to be real. So one of the guys, his name is Falcon, and he is actually on Hack the Box's like community outreach team as part of like what he does. And he came in. I had no idea who he was at first, and said like, "Hey, can I send you some? Can I link you like some Hack the Box? What was it? Redemption tokens, like basically for like a free month." And I was like, "Sure, but if you send a phishing site, I'm just going to take it apart on stream. We're going to have some fun." And then I realized he was actually legit, so I felt really bad. But at the same time, the offer still stands, and we're just going to take it apart on stream. Why don't you stream on Kick? I am live on Kick right now. We're on stream. We're on YouTube, Kick, and Twitch. It's just written user flags. I know, right? Yeah, in fact, one of the nice things I did is over here in the chat for StreamerBot, it got added over to here. So I can actually see those 3 platforms up here, which is really nice. So I don't use Patreon at all, but the guy who's making StreamerBot, it's a really awesome tool. I'm trying to do some more stuff with it. And so I went ahead and subscribed to his Patreon because I wanted the Kick integration to help simplify this new dual streaming setup. Anyway, so I like their breakdown of like the capabilities of this worm. By the way, if everybody just came in from Shy Hat stream, my name is Blaise. I've been in cybersecurity for 10 years. I've been in IT for 15 years. And I've been in offensive security for the last 7 years. Let me see if I can do the shout out now. Hang on. There it goes. Got it. And so what we're doing is Wednesday nights we come through and we do hacker news for the week. So usually I'll go pull stories from the Bad Sectors Lab blog, which is really awesome. If you have not seen it, they put it out every Monday, sometimes on Tuesdays, and it's really great. Tag-shing. I hope I said that right. Tag, thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in. This is a really great blog. Sometimes I'll pull a lot of news stories from here. But we will actually talk about this.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
I tried turning it off and on so many times, Gumby. That damn computer. I'm currently waiting on a replacement CPU for my desktop. I replaced the power supply unit because I thought that was the issue. Nope. I think the CPU is cooked. I think I just beat it up too much. But yeah, so what we were just covering was this interesting read about a self-propagating VS Code extension malware. Actually, it hits a lot of different things. It hits NPM, it hits Git repos, it hits other stuff. But it was called Glassworm. And the reason is because they were using invisible Unicode variants to drop code into it, but they don't visibly render in a text editor. So, kind of cool. How good are you compared to Ryan Montgomery? Dude, I'm freaking chimp with a keyboard, man. And I've seen a lot of what Ryan puts out, but also you got to remember a lot of the information that whenever people are doing like cybersecurity videos or anything like that, you're not putting it out for like the super elite hacksaws, because you're putting it out for an exclusively small subset of people at that point. A lot of times you're covering things that are more generally interesting. So like, for example, I'm trying to get back to cutting YouTube videos every week. This would have been an article I would actually go cover as a YouTube video, because it's interesting and it covers a lot of different areas and it does focus on cybersecurity, and I can bring an interesting perspective to it because y'all missed it. We just finished up this article, but in here, let me drop the link for this again over in the chat. But they're talking about, they feel like this is the unbreakable, unstoppable, never going to give you up, never going to let you down, command and control, and there's nothing you can do about it. No, we talked through it as we're examining their findings on what this malware is doing. It's like, no, here's a kill point, here's a kill point, here's a kill point. There's plenty of ways to take this thing down and offline. It has some very cool capabilities, but it's not unstoppable. I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair. You're so full of crap, Gumby. You're so full of crap. Let's see. So that was the last one I had kind of picked out. Let me pop over here. So we actually missed 2 weeks of news. So I'm going to run through real quick and see if anything sticks out from last week's Bad Sector Labs blog. The F5 security incident. I think we may have looked at this. Highly sophisticated nation-state threat actor maintained long-term persistence to access and download files from certain F5 systems. They got source code. I don't think they got critical source code last time I read this, though. Nowadays, you don't even know you have a virus or any type of malware because it's all invisible. Oh, they try to be. I mean, there's usually always some telltale sign, but yeah, there are ways to go through and evade it. It's just a question also of like how much effort do you want to put into that process versus the reward, right? You could go make a completely like novel, undetectable malware implant, but you're probably not going to go use it on some random crypto developer who understands that you keep your crypto in cold storage with a tiny bit in hot wallet, so that way you can do whatever development stuff you've got to do. You wouldn't go burn it on something like that. Let's see. Breaking into GitLab. Let's see. Function Peekaboo. I need to go dig into LLVM. Looking forward to that. Oh, in the money. Scaling vulnerability research with language models. A refreshing take on how language models could be used to scale vulnerability research with some open source tool releases. Okay, I want to take a look at this one because there's actually a pretty hot debate going on, and I'd say FFmpeg are the guys at the center of it right now, where what's happening is you've got people that are basically exploit CVE hunters, and they're coming through and they're hitting a lot of, they're using language models to try and basically find exploits, and they don't necessarily understand what they're doing, or sometimes they do. Anyway, it's causing a lot of open source to be hit with, hey, we found a security problem. I was like, well, cool, dude, it's open source. Maybe you should submit a patch along with it. No, I don't do that. I was like, okay, cool. So what I'm understanding is you're bringing nothing but problems and no solutions. That's what I'm getting from this. What's the one about Peekaboo? We can take a look at that. Crafting self-masking functions using LLVM. So this is probably going to be a really deep one that unfortunately is not in my wheelhouse yet. Something I need to work on. Let's see. So LLVM compiler infrastructure is powerful because it's a modular design, its flexibility, and rich intermediate representations that enable deep analysis and transformations of code. So unlike traditional compilers, LLVM separates the front-end parsing language from the back-end code generation, allowing developers to support multiple languages and target with minimal duplication. Excuse me. I had to cough really badly there. I'm not pooping, Gumby. I'm not pooping. I'm right here, dude. Let's see. So the intermediate representation is language agnostic, designed for optimization, making it ideal for building advanced tools such as static analyzers, custom code generators, obfuscators, and just-in-time compilers. Additionally, LLVM's extensive ecosystem, including CLang, LDD, and MLIR, which is multi-level intermediate representations, makes it robust, a robust foundation for research, experimentation, and production-grade compiler development. Interesting. All right, I'm not going to read into this one because I can see that scroll bar. You can see that there? That little tiny thing? This is a long one. What's worse, a Trojan horse or a worm? Depends on what you're going for. That's a bit like saying which one's better for you, the apple or the orange to go eat. Or in my case, which is better, the brisket or the ribeye steak. Which one's better to eat, which one's worse to eat. It just depends on what your goal is, right? If your goal is to get some vitamin C, go with the orange. If your goal is to get some more fiber so you can poop, go with the apple. So it just depends on what you want to do with it. Ultimately, if you think about like how they kind of overlap a lot in their idea there, the only difference between something like a Trojan and a worm is the worm has a self-propagating mechanism. The plus side to that is more systems get infected. The downside to that is more systems get infected, which increases your likelihood of detection quite a bit. So it depends on what your goal is. Blaise says poop 69 times on stream. Not nice. Not nice. You guys spamming the poop counter. Oh, let's see. Here, I'm going to drop this link over here, though, for you, Gumby, since I think you were asking for it. Worms are worse because they don't have legs. They don't have a leg to stand on. Damn it. Let's see. Oh, back to it before I got distracted by the peekaboo thing. So yeah, there's a big debate going on. Like, hey, if you're just doing nothing but yeeting out CVEs, or you're just hunting for CVEs from supposed security problems that you have found in tools that were open source, so you could go have a language model analyze them, and then you're burning the developers who oftentimes work in a very, very volunteer situation, and you're just burning them out because they have to go investigate and look at these. The idea is, okay, so if you're going to submit those, should you also submit a patch? And I personally am in favor of, hey, if it's not a hypercritical exploit, then yeah, you should, and even if it is, you should go submit a patch. But perhaps it's like, hey, if it doesn't reach a certain threshold and you submit this vulnerability and you don't submit a patch, we're just going to ignore it. Or we'll get to it whenever the hell we get to it. It's just going to go in the queue. A worm could be Trojanized and vice versa. That's what I'm saying, Laughing. So it just depends on like what you're working on for it. Typically, a Trojan would be something that you go download and execute. I don't know if there's a strong distinction for anything that makes a Trojan specifically a Trojan. It's just a packaged form of a malware, right? I guess you could say that malware is the part that actually executes whatever the malicious code implant is, and the Trojan is whatever the wrapper for it is, And trust me, this day and age, you want a good wrapper for that Trojan. Let's see. So many security researcher bottlenecks aren't simply a matter of limited bug detecting capabilities. They're about deciding which attack surface to examine in the face of constrained times and attention. So when staring at hundreds of changed functions in a patch diff, or trying to prioritize among thousands of Linux kernel subsystems to audit, manual intuitive exploration doesn't scale. So what follows is a recording and transcript of my talk from my inaugural Open Offensive AI Con. Man, I was so looking forward to this. I could have gotten into Offensive AI Con. I had probably a 90% chance of getting in there because it was I think not by invite only, but it wasn't just open to the general public. But I knew some folks, and unfortunately, it got clobbered with another event that I had already scheduled, and I didn't know about it in time. I was so looking forward to going to that after I learned about it. So next year I'll be at Offensive AI Con. I'm going to get it early. Let's see. Oh, anyway, so this was the first conference dedicated to offensive AI cybersecurity, in which I presented a method for transforming hard security prioritization problems into list-wise ranking problems. That way, LLMs could solve efficiently and cheaply, instead of trying to score every item independently, which tends to inflate, or compare every pair of items, which explodes combinatorially. We use a list-wise document ranking algorithm to find which relevant items in a data set through iterative sampling and convergence detections. Interesting. So as part of the research, I developed 2 open source tools that you can use to automate target selection, prioritization, prioritize vulnerability candidates and make any which option decisions at scale. Actually, this could be very helpful. This could be very helpful for Hackbot, because it's going to be in the future. Hackbot is going to run across like, hey, I have decisions to take that might help me achieve the objective. Which one do I take? Okay. So first thing is you have slices. So you find vulnerabilities through build-free static analysis by strategically arranging context for language models to examine. Successfully reproduce discovery of a use after free in the Linux kernel SMB server for roughly $3 per run. Okay, that's not too bad, because we've burned 60 cents on a run before in Hackbot. And then we've got rank. Now, it's not rank, it's rank. Rank's arbitrary dataset uses language models with ON complexity and can prioritize 2,700 GitHub repos and 3,000 kernel subsystems and 1,500 patch diff functions, and consistently surface the most security relevant items. Ooh. Let me go take a look at this real fast. Rank. Didn't have a leg to stand on. That was funny. Let's see. So how does this work? So rank, use LMs for document ranking. Ooh. So there's power in AI when you can throw a problem at it and get some result without even fully defining the problem. So for example, given a bunch of lines of code diffs and security advisories, ask which of these diffs seems likely to fix the security bug. However, it's not always that easy. So there's non-determinism, doesn't always respond with the same result. Context windows, you can't pass all the data at once. It needs to be broken up. Output constraints, sometimes doesn't return all the data you asked to review. And subjectivity and scoring, has a really hard time assigning a numeric score to individual items. So we built rank to circumvent those issues and solve general ranking problems that are otherwise difficult for language models to process. Oh, they've got a different system for it here. Cool. I'm curious about this though. Open AI key. How do we use it? How do we use it? Okay, I'll have to take a look at it later. Anyway, so they've got two items here. They've got slice for strategically arranging, find vulnerabilities through build-free static analysis, and then we got rank for ranking those items. Let's see. So looking at the title, now I can see it's quite a mouthful. I think I went with too long to be wrong for the talk title. Scaling vulnerability research. So a bit of an intro about me. I'm Caleb Gross. I started doing offensive cyber ops for the US government. Now I do offensive security and application security in the private sector. I'm super interested in using AI for initial access vulnerabilities. And you can find me at Noperator. I like that, Noperator. Let's see. So let's go back to the basics. Consider a very simple goal. What if we could find and fix all vulnerabilities in open source software? That's a pretty ambitious goal, admittedly, but we should. So there's a reason why we all showed up to a conference that sounds like it came straight out of a sci-fi novel, right? I think it's because we all have this belief at some level that we're standing at an inflection point for solving classically difficult problems in a security space while leveraging AI effectively. That's the key thing. It's like everybody just wants to throw raw AI at it and not think about how to make it optimal. Anyway, so it may be time to revisit longstanding assumptions about what is possible and not when solving security in a big way. So if we were to develop a very simple pipeline for how this could work, it would look, first of all, like locating your targets. So which repos do we need to run static analysis on, dissect the code base, chunk it into small enough pieces for the AI can perhaps help find bugs, do some triage, and then verify reports to fix them. If you had to restart coding, where would you start first? Given this day and age, I would actually say if you had to start from scratch, I'm of two minds about it, but I would actually say start with something like C++ or Go, some other strongly typed language, and then move into something like Python. I have found through talking with other folks and through personal experience, because I've done coding off and on for a long time. It wasn't until we started Hackbot that I was consistently doing a lot of coding. But I have found that going from a non-strongly typed language like Python, like JavaScript, and then moving to a strongly typed language like C, C++, Go, Rust, any of those, is a much harder transition than if you flip it around. Going from a strongly typed language background to a loosely typed language system is a much easier transition for a coder. So I would say start with something that's strongly typed. Java, bite your tongue, Gumby. Ugh. Bite your... Go wash your mouth out, sir. Friends don't let friends do Java. Let's see. So this guy said, I've been spending the better part of the last year developing tools that can easily fit into a Vuln researcher's workshop to help use AI to assist with some of those problems. So I published a blog post a month or two ago on this tool called Slice. So it's an open source tool. The core idea here was, can we try to test the assumption that I think a lot of us have, which is if you arrange the right minimal pieces of context in front of a large language model, the same context should always cause me, or say you, to say, yeah, that's clearly a vulnerability here, then maybe the AI would come to the same conclusion. So that's the core premise of Slice. If we can reliably reproduce discovery of a use after free in the Linux kernel. So this is the same bug that Sean Heelan blogged about back in May at the Linux kernel SMB server implementation. I remember that one. Vaguely remember it. I didn't dig deep into it, but I remember there being one with the Linux kernel SMB server. So it's pretty fast and cheap, like $3 per run, runs in a couple of minutes. While I think this is very exciting and interesting, it also is not terribly surprising. I've had a lot of feeling for a while that if we just get the context right, and if the model is sufficiently capable, then we should be able to find complex vulnerabilities like this without doing dynamic analysis. There we go. That's the main thing too. I think a lot of folks don't handle the context properly. A lot of systems. I love coffee. Java is the best. I love coffee. I do not like Java. So you start learning how computers work first before coding now. It will help. You don't have to necessarily think of it as like, hey, there is a very strict learning path of I need to understand what the processors and the RAM and the hard drive are necessarily doing. Those are things that I kind of like for my own son, Agent Zero, my oldest son. I teach him a little bit about the different parts of the computer, but I'm going to start him with coding before I start him on like computer hardware. And why? If he breaks the code, that's fine. If he breaks the hardware, it costs me money. So there's a practical part to that too. Do I want him to understand what's happening with all those pieces? Absolutely, I do. And I will teach him that eventually. But for the beginning, he's actually getting very good at reading and writing. He's 7 years old. And so I think he's finally getting to the point where he can at least hunt and peck to make tiny little programs on his laptop. So he's got a little laptop. He doesn't spend a lot of time on it, but I might let him do that. However, right now he's really into drawing. And I am not very artistically inclined. Neither is my wife, his mother. So to see him kind of want to do that and actually show a lot of improvement with it, it's something I want to bolster with him. I've got plenty of time to teach him coding and computing. I want him to work on his artistic skills because I want him to be able to think about that. Let's see. What's this, branch education? Let me take a look at that.
Inside every modern lab.
Ooh. Ooh, that's cool. How are CPUs made? How do GPUs work? Nice. Man, they got a ton of subscribers. For only 52 videos? When did they make the first one? I've never seen this channel before, so I'm curious about it. What's the oldest one in here? From 7 years ago. Nice. Nice. How to make a lemon battery. Okay, I'm going to save this one to go show these to Agent Zero. I see GoPro is still up there doing his DJ bit. He's just rocking it. If you were asked to hack together a web application today, what technology stack would you choose for the server side? Whatever the hell Claude told me, because I'm not an application developer. I would legit probably go to Claude or even Grok. I've been tinkering with Grok lately. It's kind of interesting too. And I'd say, hey, here's the requirements I need to do. What technology stack should I use that will be simple to kind of stand up? Because I'm not that kind of developer. I am not. I mean, Hackbot doesn't even have a database, right? Everything happens in memory. Eventually we might throw a database into it. They've got a video on RAM that breaks it down to the bit level. Cool. Because believe it or not, I've got a copy of like how it's made, that old show, and my kids love it. They find it fascinating. Let's see. All right, so let's read this a little bit more before. Oh crap! It's already 11. Damn it. Let's see. I feel like we've already sufficiently covered this at OpenAICon. Yeah. So a more reasonable goal. Let me see exactly what he did with this. Witchcraft and Wizard, we have which problem security have you noticed? It's not that kind, but it's this kind. Yada yada yada. All right, I want to see some of what he was talking about. Pitfalls in the common approaches. I'd like to know this. So when it comes to find signal in the noise, let's consider the easiest way to do it. So if I have thousands of vulnerabilities, just try to quantify what you care about. So score each one and then sort the vulnerability scores in a point-wise manner. So that's pretty naive approach. It works well on some levels, but also there's a tendency to inflate towards the upper end of the scale. So we see that a lot with CVSS datasets, where so far this year there have been over 200 CVEs, all with CVSS scores of 10, which is the max score. So that kind of breaks down when you still have to figure out, okay, well, among all the top scoring vulnerabilities, which one should I focus on? So instead, you should consider what to do if a pairwise A/B combination of every vulnerability to every other vulnerability. So large language models are pretty good at this kind of thing. They can take like data and unlike data and give you an indication of which one is most impactful or worse. So they're pretty good at hot dog, not hot dog, or cancer, not cancer. If we want to get the more morbid like we did yesterday. But that breaks down at large scale because with a traditional sorting algorithm that might have exponential time complexity in the worst case, the calls to a language model just explode, and an inconsistent decision early on in the sorting process can really throw off the results. Let's see. So likewise ranking with the LLMs. Let me see if he's got any. Do you have any pictures in here? Damn it, I want to read through this one, but we are out of time and I'm freaking tired. Here, I don't remember if I dropped the link to this one in the chat, so I'm going to drop it again. There we go. Okay, good. That did show up on Kick. All right, I just noticed what time it is. I have not gotten to bed before 2 a.m. the last 5 days, and I usually get up about 6 in the morning, so I am cooked. So I have got to go to bed. So unfortunately, let's go see if we can find somebody to raid over to real fast.
Incoming transmission from Morano Gumby. Don't forget to push it real good.
If I was doing any coding tonight, Gumby, I would push it real good. However, right now, I don't even have access. I mean, I do. I could come up with something to get access over into the lab box to do the dev work. I just didn't take the time to set that up tonight because I was just trying to get something up with this Frankenstein combination of computers that I've got so we could do the new stream. Because like I said, I felt bad that I missed an entire week of streaming. So we'll figure it out. I'll get something set up so we can work on it on Saturday. Let me see here. By the way, go check out Last Week in Security. It's a really great blog from Bad Sector Labs.
Incoming transmission from Morano Gumby. No worries.
No worries. Let's see. What do we got going on here? What the? Is that Vsauce? Dude looks like Vsauce.
Incoming transmission from Moreno Gumby. Love you long time.
Love you long time, Gumby. I saw this for a second. I thought, hey, Vsauce here. Let's see. Anybody else doing anything interesting over in Science Tech? Actually, hold on. I'm doing things out of order here. Let's go check InfoSec streams, see who's on. CyberDoc is on. Hack the Box is a ghost. They're actually not on. So we could go right over to CyberDoc. Let me see what he's working on real fast. What's he doing? I think he's doing more Hack the Box. Okay. We may go right over to him. Well, let me see who else is on right now. Let's see. We got Astronomy Lady talking about the super moon. I do love the astronomy streamers. Don't know if anybody else is doing anything super interesting in here. Raid GoPro for some cool tunes. You know, we might just go do that. In fact, he's right there, so. Yeah, it's getting late, so. I'm looking forward to when. So Tay from Chicago, or no, it's Bex from Chicago. This is Tay XO. Like, see, she's got 156 viewers. I'm looking for it. I believe GoPro will be at that level in no time because he was doing a really good job for what little bit I listened to. So yeah, we'll go right over to GoPro.
Yeah, and the previous one was also amazing.
Let's see. Do I still have desktop audio playing? I do. I forgot to turn that off when I came back. Where's desktop? Boop. There we go. All right. How do we start the raid? There we go. Let's get it started. All right, guys. Unfortunately, that's where I've got to end it for tonight because I just realized what time it is. And the mania is going to set in and I just won't go to sleep ever. So, yeah, he is awesome. Guys, I really missed y'all. I was so happy to be back to streaming tonight and going over the hacker news. I'll get something set up where we can work on it come Saturday. It shouldn't be too much of a problem to get back over into the lab and start working in there. I just got to do a little bit of tweaking, but I'll get it figured out. But I want you guys to remember, the week's not over yet. We still have 2 days. Tomorrow is the last day of crushing it in production. Friday is a day of preparation to begin crushing it on Monday. But continue into crushing it mode. Do not slack. Do not give up. Never give up. Never surrender. And I want y'all to remember one very important thing, and that is, I love ya. Peace.